Um, Now I do understand that. Now, so it's all about basically saving effectively because I do know that with student finance, you're basically paying that back for life unless you're able to get I don't know get a high paying job that allows you to pay it all off in one go. That would be nice. But obviously I have to be realistic right now. Yeah. So I currently have a job right now, and the salary is good, not bad, but I get paid weekly. Okay.
Okay.
And the amount I get paid weekly, I'm able to put half straight into my savings, and the other half is what I have in my current account. That's what I have. That's what I have to spend for that week. Okay. And I'm already paying back my student finance for my postgrad already. But the only problem I'm having right now is just I don't think I'm really making my money work for me because yeah, saving is good, it's all nice and all that kind of stuff, but it's not really enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough at all. And what I have a tendency to be dipping into my savings sometimes to help my family or okay, if it's a family emergency, no problem. But sometimes when I have a tendency to just dip in there, just take up maybe like a couple of 50 or something,
Yeah.
just do something that I did not even plan to do. So that's a bad habit. So I just need to have a good setup because especially because now the year is ended and I don't want to start out January on a bad foot. I want to make sure I start on the right turn.
Cool. All right. So today we're talking basically saving effectively, managing money better, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, in terms of like what you're already doing, in terms of like half your paycheck going into savings, I mean, you're already doing very well in that aspect. The fact that you're going into it, I mean, besides the fact that you're going into it, it's not always your call, because if it was always you that's going into it, then it is to some extent it may be a case of which where you may actually be saving too much, which is actually a thing. Coming from someone that says save, you can actually be saving too much.
Yeah.
What's it called? When it comes to like, actually, let's start like this. So, do you have any goals?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
What are they?
So we mean it goes with what I'm saving for. Is that the question? Yeah.
Well, saving for and then goals in general. Well, yeah, both, I guess.
Okay. Well, yeah. So the first part is obviously saving enough money to get a mortgage for a house. That's number one right now.
Okay.
Then the second thing is for a car.
Okay.
Okay. And then the last thing on the list right now is for basically holiday trips. Holiday. I've already got like 2 holidays lined up for next year already. So
okay. What's it called? Oh, what is? I'm trying to remember something. What is it called? I'll remember it in a sec. All right. So your goals are house, car, holidays. Okay, cool. And so in terms of like, so we'll just be dealing with rough numbers here.
Okay.
So obviously you're saving. Do you have, so you only have savings? Do you have any investments or anything like that?
I have no investments. No.
Okay. No investments. And I'm assuming that is just your one job is where all your income's coming from.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So, when it comes to like student loan, now obviously student loan is to some extent a killer, but in most cases it's actually more just it's more a problem for well, in your case where you have both student loan and postgraduate loan coming out. I always tell people like, student loan it's not really a good enough reason for you to not go to uni if you wanted to go to uni, because in reality, if you're not making money, then you're not paying it back, basically. And your student loan will always be less than your tax and NI, at least in the UK. And so student loan it's more about how do you maximize the rest. So right now, obviously, they're looking to change the laws on that, because right now, everybody, for those who undergraduate, you're paying back 9% over 27,950, and then on your postgrad it's 6,000 over, I think, 21k or something like that. And they're looking possibly to change it to 20, the undergrad to 23k, which would lower that, and then everyone will start paying more.
Yeah.
How many accounts do you have?
Just maybe between accounts. Oh,
bank accounts. How many bank accounts do you have?
Oh, I got two. I got my UK one. I got my Irish
one. And Irish. And you just have one a current account. Do you have a savings account in those current accounts?
No, just I made one, but for some reason never actually got put through. So that's what I've got to set myself for that one. But I've got, for my current account right now, I've got a savings account. That's my UK one. And the Irish, I've got a credit union account.
Do you have any credit cards?
Nah.
Okay. Cool. So your main goals are housing, a car, holiday. Now, I imagine there's probably other goals that you haven't identified as goals there, because what I find, or what I tell people, is that 9 times out of 10, majority, if not all, of your personal goals are financial goals. And so it's good you got trips in there, because most people don't plan for their trips, well, effectively anyway. It's more like the paycheck before kind of goes to it. Okay, so in terms of like managing money better, now, obviously the first thing you got to do is to somewhat budget. Yeah. So like it sounds like a tedious job. Most people don't like it because it's like, I don't want to, it feels too constrictive. It feels like I'm putting too much rules. It feels like I'm putting limits on myself. It feels like on my days I can't do what I want because I'm on a budget. You know, saying I'm balling on a budget doesn't sound nice. You know, some of us say it with chest, but it's not the most attractive thing to say. But the truth of the matter is that even if you don't think you have a budget, everybody has a budget. And so now the question really and truly is whether you're in control of that budget or if your finances are in control of you. So if you actually look over your last 3 months, or like you've already mentioned some things you identify about yourself in the way that, you know, even though you put half of your savings away and you do into your check-in, you're always going back into your savings pretty much regularly to go and pick out from there. And so you would naturally have like a budget of, like, let's say you make 1k in a month and you save 500, but you always are overspending over 500. And the thing is, 9 times out of 10, it's just because we're not in control of it, it's in control of us. So we're just going on impulse, we're going on these things. When I did like a live on Insta the other week, and I've told it to other people, that like when it comes to like your finances, you know, the ABC of it, and like there's ABC on both sides. There's asset, budget, credit, and then there's attitude, behavior, and control. And these, if you look at them as two sides of the same coin, one being about you and one being about like the technical resources and stuff like that, the finances, the financial literacy. And I find that, you know, majority of problems when it comes to it is more about ourselves. So a lot of people can get very, you know, people can know about money and stuff like that, but still very much mismanage it. And people can understand themselves, but not have any literacy of how to accumulate money or use the resources that are available for them. Now, when it comes to your budget is what reflects your priorities. It is what reflects your goals. It is what reflects what you're, you know, I always say this, if you want to see what's important to somebody, you have to just look at 2 things. 1, how they spend their money, and 2, how they spend their time. And so, you know, if one is out measured from the other, then you can clearly see. That's why most people like to talk as opposed to do, and actions do speak louder than words. Your word is very important, but they complement each other. And so
Yeah.
you're doing one more than the other, and you're forgetting one over the other, then you're not really doing a service on yourself. So if you say that, you know, you're very, let's say you're very health conscious, or you're very, you know, in terms of your time, you go to a lot to the gym, but in terms of your money, you know, you've not bought fruits to save your life, like you've not brought a green vegetable to save your life, like, you know, it's as you, let's say your baseline was here and you went already healthy here, and you're trying to exercise, and you're already doing like fast food every day. You haven't even like started to reduce the one that you were doing before. You're reducing the one you just got today.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one from yesterday that took you to the gym, you still haven't dealt with that. So your money and your time. And so this comes back to addressing the thing where you were talking about, like, you know, dipping into your savings and stuff like that. Now, when we when we budget, or at least when I help people to budget, it's about being more realistic about how you want to budget, because what people do which makes them flop, and this is not just about budgeting your money, this is about most people's goals in life, is that, and you're going to see this happen in the beginning of next year, and you're going to see it happen for the first 3 months. When people set their mind on a new goal, most people don't really plan it that well. They just set their mind on a new goal, and then there's a new enthusiasm, a new motivation that comes with going for that goal. So it's like, I'm going to go to the gym. You're going to see the new year, bear man, they're going to be doing
Yeah.
3 days a week. Some people say every day a week. Some people go from like never jogging to now jogging every day. Some people go from never saving to like saving 30% of their money every month. And because they have so much energy in the beginning, it's like, I want to be in shape, or I want to be for my health, or, you know, I want to be with fire for God, so I'm going to church 4 times a week, or whatever it is like that. Human beings are not very good at 0 to 100, and so we typically fail because we have a lot of motivation in the beginning, but because it's so unfamiliar to us, the adrenaline that carries us through, when it wears out, it now feels like it's being constricted. Like we feel, you know,
Yeah.
when people go on a diet and they're very strong on the diet from never being on a diet, it's like, oh my days, like I've been suffering myself, I've been depriving myself. It's almost like, you know, so when they go back, they flop on their goals. And so when you're making a budget, you want to make a budget very realistic. You want to make it in a staircasing thing. So for example, if somebody never, you know, this doesn't apply to you because you do save, but if somebody never saved, I wouldn't tell them next month to go and start saving 20% or even 50%, even though that may be where they need to get to their goals.
Yeah.
You know, I would start them off with 5%, 10%, bring them up, you know, because most times with all of these habits, it's just about establishing yourself as somebody who's trying to do these habits. If somebody wanted to go to the gym and they came to me, it's like, Ugo, I want to go to the gym. I'll be like, how many times? Oh, 3 days a week. It's like, when was the last time you go to the gym? A year and a half. But like, you know, I'm gonna do it. And it's like, okay, cool. If I'm advising them, I'll say, okay, you know, the best thing to do, I'll be like, don't go to the gym next week. Give it a month. And then the days that you would have gone to the gym at home, just wake up in the morning and do three 5 sets of whatever. So maybe 5 sit-ups, 5 press-ups, you know, 5 squats, and do that 3 times. And then that you'll be done within 5 minutes, 10 minutes max. Do that 3 times a week. And then if you can do that for a month, you know, or you, let's say whatever goal you use every day a week, then if you can do that for a month, then you're ready to go to the gym. And what you find is that most people, even that simple task that you can do within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that they don't really end up doing it. And then that kind of follows through when they go to the gym. Now, those who are able to do it, they do a very important thing. They, you know, when I say 5, it's very simple. It's not that hard. But what you're doing in those moments is that you're just establishing yourself as somebody who wakes up and tries to exercise, you know. And that's how it goes. Like, if you show up every day, you know how they say, if you show up in the kitchen, at some point you're gonna start cooking something. Like, if you're in the kitchen every day, at some point you're gonna cook something. And so at least you've now, from somebody who never used to enter the kitchen, you just at least establish yourself as I enter kitchen. Before now, now I don't enter kitchen, I can upgrade to doing into doing something else, into cooking, or at least trying to boil water first, because you know, some people apparently they don't know. So a budget is very important just in general, in terms of like look at your budget as your financial strategy.
Okay.
Like your budget is why it's important for me to ask you about your goals is because most times people struggle to save because they haven't aligned it to any goals. So it's like, why am I saving? What am I saving this money for? I just have money there and there's no reason and blah, blah, blah. So 9 times out of 10, you have to give yourself a reason because we have reasons in the back of our head, but we haven't connected it. Like house and car is easy to connect. Most people can't connect. I want to go on nights out. I want to go out with my boys every week. Some people haven't connected. I want to go on holiday every year. Some people haven't connected. Just like every month, I just want to like do Nando's and Five Guys 4 or 5 times. Like those are all low-key financial, like I won't say them as goals, yeah, but they're financial decisions that you're going to make on a regular that people haven't connected that they should factor into their life.
Mm-hmm.
So when I budget, I take everything into account. I make it as realistic as possible. In the sense of like, I have like a 20, before it was, now it's not that case, but before I used to have like a £20 a month, what's it called? A budget that I could now use to eat any kind of fast food I want. That was just the one allowance I gave myself because I know I'd want to do it. I now changed it to like, was it like 40 or something that will be spread every 2 weeks because I know that even though I like cooking, after a while I get bored of my own food. I don't really want to be eating my own food. So like about 2 weeks in, I'll be like, let me get a takeout or something. I already accounted for it. It's not a case of which now it sprung up on me and now I'm looking at it all one time. Now, the benefit of budgeting, is that you've lined up all the things you're going to do, regular payments, and I'll get to more specifics about budgeting in a second, but you've lined out everything that you want to do, everything you need to do on a recurring month, everything that you want to achieve. And then after that, you know what you have left. And so then you know what you have left to do random, where you have the space to move stuff because people don't achieve their goals in a financial sense because, okay, I want to be saving £500 a month to a house. Okay, cool. Well, you've done all your bills, but you've kind of overspent there and dun. And what typically ends up getting eaten into when, it's not like, instead of somebody to be like, okay, I'm not going to do the 2 fast foods this month. I'm going to still do that, but I'm just going to take it out of my savings. And then your savings suffer, so your goals suffer. And then that's what most people do. And another bad thing that people kind of do in the financial sense is that they typically save last as opposed to save first. People typically spend first and then save last. So, Black Friday is next Friday. The time when people are typically struggling for money, and this is why budgeting is also important. And I also take budgeting into another level from just monthly budgeting.
Yeah.
And yours being weekly is actually even better in that sense. Is that most people, when they're struggling for money the most, is like a week before payday. That's generally when most people are struggling for money. Is just before payday because they get the money the first 2 weeks, they're splashing. When payday comes, they've already emptied up their ASOS Boohoo Man basket that they've been keeping for some time, and then they get to the second week, and then when they get to the third week, then they're like, oh rah, shit, I need some money, blah blah blah, and then they're waiting for payday. And it's gonna, trust me, December is gonna be tough for people because you got Black Friday coming the next Friday. So a lot of people are going to spend money on there, not just for themselves, but for Christmas and all that kind of stuff. And the there, one of my friends was saying, like, I'm going to spend money on something on that day, but I know it's not going to be essential. And so, but like, it's because it's going to be a difficult one because watch, November payday comes next Friday for most people, if not the Tuesday after, that's the last day of the month for other people. And then people are going to splash out on that day. Then in less than 2-3 weeks, for most people in corporate jobs, in grad schemes, December payday comes early. So you're going to get that money early. You're going to feel like you have a lot of money. And most times they overspend. And then they forget that from between that payday and January payday is about 6 weeks. And you see that January winter year, that winter payday year, like, oh my days, it's not fun. It's not fun. Like after you've gone through Christmas, everyone's calling you to spend money, you look money in your account, and then you look at your money and be like, yeah, I've got the money. And so this is one of the important things I wanted to say about you dipping into your savings and about budgeting, is that how much you have and how much you can afford are two different things.
Okay.
And so, for example, let's say I have 1K in my account. All right. Let's say 200 goes to rent, 400 goes to my savings for a home, and then I have 400 left. I need, let's say, £200 for what's it called, to eat and transport myself in a month. I only have £200 left. And so even though I've got like the other £400 in my savings account, if somebody asks me, yo, Ugo, can you lend me 500? Well, I look in my account and yes, there's more than 500 there, but in reality, all I can afford, mate, is £200. And so when somebody asks you, do you have money, or do you have money, the way you should understand that as, do I have money available to pass on? Because you have to understand that, if you so sometimes a no isn't a no, I don't have the money. It's like, no, this money is not available for me to pass this on to you. This money
Yeah.
has a job, this money has a name. So and it depends on how important that goal is for you, because 9 times out of 10 you're nobody's last resort. But if every time somebody comes to you, you always say yes, then it will always feel like you're their last resort, because you've never actually seen an alternative. You've never said no 9 times out of 10 when people have that relationship. They've never said no for them to now be like, okay, let them go and find another alternative. And then, most times it's not even that they emotionally guilt us, we emotionally guilt ourselves, because it's like, oh yeah, but when you see it in this perspective of that, when you say no, or when you say I can't afford this, that what you need to be hearing is that, do I have this money available? And then it's up to you to rationalize, because you have to understand that, okay, now if this person is in hard times now, and then you say, okay, I'm going to change it from 200 to 300 to 500, then you only have £100 left. You've given them the 200 available plus £300 from your house's saving. Now
Yeah.
you have to understand that whatever timeline you had for your goals of that house has changed.
Okay.
So let's say, you're doing, you have Help to Buy, say you're earning £200 a month, blah, blah, blah. And in 2 years' time, you'd have enough money to buy the house you want to buy, in terms of getting them enough money for deposit. If you now take out from that money because a lot of these things is discipline that wins you the game. It's not motivation, it's consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's say, a lot of people don't, when they're saving for a house, it seems like an insurmountable job, but you just have to start small. If you save £20 a week, you have 1,040 pounds at the end of the year. People are just like, when you do the math, it's like, rah, that's just, for some people, it's just cutting out 2 Uber journeys.
Yeah.
And so when you look at it, the perspective of, okay, these are the goals I'm trying to achieve in my money. And when I say goals, I'm talking about both long-term and short-term, and also trying to apply balance to your life. And then if you now say yes to this, you have to understand what you're sacrificing on all these decisions, because again, like I said, most if not all of our personal goals are financial goals. So you need to know what you're sacrificing when you actually do, dip into that pot or whatnot, because a lot of times it's easy to operate in hindsight. It's easy to operate in like, oh my days, yeah, what's it called? I wish I'd known, maybe I would have saved more, maybe I would have said no more. And the question, and my point in this is not saying no, but it's understanding that what you give up when you say no and what you say yes. And so what is important enough, even for yourself, when you come to in the future to try and make an emergency fund and stuff like that, when you make an emergency fund, an emergency fund is in case of emergency, and not like, and a real emergency, not like I'm short £10, short £20. No, it's like I lost my job, you know,
Yeah.
somebody's sick, and we have to pay out of it with knowing outside of NHS. It's that kind of like serious, like,
Yeah.
I'm about to go. Well, depending, maybe they stole my passport in this country and I'm stranded with no money. Can you charter me a flight? But that's something like that. But like, I mean, if you missed your flight, that's not a life or death situation. Sure, you're low-key stranded, but you missed your flight, rebook it. Like,
Yeah.
personal problem. That's not an emergency. So having to be able to see aligning with your goals is very important, because that's the only way you're going to get to where you want to go to. Because in this life, whatever you want to achieve in terms of goals, success, life, relationship, whatever, nobody's going to want it more than you. So like this house and stuff like that, nobody is going to want it more than you in terms of saving. Because if, let's say, they came to you and they know you have 10K saved, well, for them, whatever they're going through right now is a more important thing. They might tell you that, well, don't worry, we'll help you back, but 9 times out of 10, they probably won't help you back.
Yeah.
And so, but if you find yourself in a situation where somebody cares about your goals more than you, then you flopped. And so that's kind of like how it is in terms of getting it. And also, also in terms of the, how should I say, in terms of you know like helping out and all these kind of things, it's very important to help out. And wherever you go, I'm very big on charity, I'm very big on giving and all those kind of things. But at the same time, you know and this one is definitely for like Black people, in the sense where I love young people. A lot of us want to take care of our family and
Yeah.
retire our parents and stuff like that. And for me personally, most of us should not be talking like that right now, because you shouldn't really be talking about retiring anybody when you haven't created your own financial foundation.
Yeah.
And so if you have no foundation to stand on and you're trying to build 3 houses at the same time, none of them will end up being completed. And so in those situations, most of your parents are still working. Let them work. Tell them to start saving. Siblings, everyone should start working, everyone should start saving, as opposed to this thing where everybody is now carrying everything on their own individual head and feel the pressure of them having to take care of their family before they've even been able. Most of us are still living at home with our parents and just paying a minimal rent. We haven't even lived on our own, talk less, or covered our own rent, talk less to be saying that we're now going to be taking care of anyone. And so when you're able to save and create a financial foundation, then you have somewhere to stand on to help other people, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
it's not a case of, you can't, like, if you the thing is, what happens is, like, let's say you take the money that let's say you would have used to maybe get a house. Let's say you use the house you're going for, let's say it was a rental property. Let's say you take that money, and let's say it's 500 pounds a week, or that you're saving, and let's say in a year and a half's time, 2 years time, you have enough money to get a rental property that will now replace your income. And then the money you now start saving from there, you can now invest, and then you can now be helping the people around you to come up. But if you took like half of that money now, and then every time somebody called you, you said, yeah, okay, outside of the money you have available, the one that you save for this goal, you go into there, you give it to this person, go into there and give it to this person, go to there, give it to this person. You've helped that person in the short term, probably not helped them in the long term. You've not helped yourself in the long term. Now, 4 years later, maybe that's when you get to the property, but you've now gone 2 years extra with neither of you actually having a foundation. So in terms of like just the understanding of like, managing money, and understanding that, when we align our goals to it, and understand that a lot of these things aren't necessarily that complicated. It's more about understanding yourself. Like,
Yeah.
if you go to, like, for some people, somebody will tell me, oh, I just need to spend less money on Uber. If you do root cause analysis to a lot of these things, your problem is not, I spend a lot of money on Uber. That's not the problem. The problem is, you're just not good at managing time. You're a bit lazy. Maybe you don't go to bed on time, so you wake up late, so you take an Uber. But if you went to bed on time, you wake up more refreshed, and then you just leave. You leave on time. You could take the TFL. TFL is pretty efficient, even on their bad days. In terms of, even like me personally, I was, when I was living at home, because I was working so much, I didn't really have time to cook. And because I didn't have time to cook in the evening and meal prep, I was spending so much money in like Pret and like Costa and all this kind of thing, because you got to eat. But then when I moved out, and then I was closer to work, so I reduced my commute time, I had space in the evening. And then before you know it, I'm not even spending any money on taking food out, because now I'm coming home, I'm doing bare cooking. You see me, I'm doing all the meal prep and everything. I have the time now. But that saves me money, even though for some people it's cooking is like, oh, my days. It's a skill that if you learn, it will benefit you regardless if you're a man or woman. And so sometimes if we understand ourselves, like, for some people, it's like, I need to stop spending money on ASOS or Boohoo Man. But for some of them, you can see that they're emotional shoppers. So they'll buy it when they're sad. So instead of you dealing with, you know, stop buying Boohoo Man and ASOS, try to deal with what actually keeps on making you sad enough that you need to go and buy stuff or buy fast food because you're an emotional eater. it's about understanding ourselves, and then that's how we understand our finances. This is the reason why most of these finance guys ends up turning into like therapists low key, because most times it's just behavioral as opposed to anything else. Now, obviously, in terms of excelling further on, there's obviously literacy and stuff to understand, both about credit and how to use the things that are out there to help you out, because everybody's using the system. So do 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 do. So do you know what credit score is?
So I know that well, it's a system that basically, how do I describe it to you now? So I know it's in the UK, from what I understand, I call it a number system. So basically, if your credit score is let's just say is minimum or above the threshold, then they'll be able to give you a loan. It kind of just shows that you're good at, if you loan your money, you're able to pay back efficiently, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If it's the threshold, that it shows them that you're not really that good at managing money.
Yeah.
And it kind of dictates whether or not they will give you out money to you get a mortgage for a house, that kind of stuff.
So you're somewhat there. So basically, your credit score / your credit report is basically your financial CV.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So if I put in an analogy, if you imagine like a girl slides into your DM, and so, profile picture, nice shot, but first thing you do probably is go check out her page, see what she's saying, see if she's finessing you on angles, or this is just that one good picture she took 5 years ago that she's recycling, and then if you see mutuals and maybe you start chatting to her a bit and whatnot, you see mutuals, and you go ask the mutual, are you close to this girl? Who is she? You try to find out, if you want to do some more, then you go on a LinkedIn or something like that. And then you just want to get a feel of this person. Obviously, if it's a girls, they'll get the FBI on the case, they'll find out who did he cheat on? Is that girl still in his life?
Check.
Proper check. And so if you imagine that that's what lenders, as opposed to banks, do when we apply for anything that is termed credit. Okay. So when we apply for any kind of credit product, and I explain what a credit product is, then what they do, whether banks or otherwise, they will check our credit score. And so that for them, that's them doing their CRB on us. Like, wagwan for this guy. Like, okay, he wants money from us, or he wants a credit from us, but like what did he do to his past relationships? Like, how did he handle there? Like, did he break anyone's heart? Did he cheat on anyone? Like, what did he do? Like, can I trust him? Like, I'm emotional. Like, and so that's kind of what they do. And so there's two types. There's soft copy. There's a soft search, and there's a hard search, or soft inquiry or hard inquiry. And so the soft one is, Sha, I just saw a profile. I went on it. I kind of breezed through. I kind of looked at it. Like, Sha, she seems kind of fine. She looks all right, But then the hard search, the hard inquiry is like, okay, mutual friends, wagwan, what's she saying? How does she look 3 o'clock in the morning when there's no makeup? Am I being finessed? Is this one of them ones where she's put one leg in the hip and the lighting up there, so it now looks like it's wide? Like, you get what I'm trying to say? So they do the whole hard search, and then that's what lenders and stuff do. And so your credit score is very important, because the term credit, everybody only just thinks about it as loans. And so to some extent, that is kind of true, because the way the banking system works is just various types of loans. A mortgage is a loan for a house. A credit card is just it's a personal loan you use recurring. There's personal loans. There's a car on finance. It's just a loan for a car. All of these type of things are loans. But there's also the type of credit that's not necessarily loans, but it's more IOUs kind of thing. So your water bill is a form of credit. Your gas bill is a form of credit. Your Wi-Fi is a form of credit. Your phone contract is a form of credit. Your car insurance, if you do it per month, is a form of insurance. It's a form of credit. But all these different things are forms of credit. And so the reason why they're even termed IOU to some extent, well, I termed IOU, it's not officially called IOU. For example, your phone contract is 2 years. And so you see it as you're paying £50 a month. The bank sees it as this guy owes me 600 and he's paid 50 pounds back. That's how they see it. If you do, that's the reason why if you do a car insurance and you pay it off, if you do annually and you pay it off, you won't see it on your credit report. But if you do it monthly, you'll see it, because it's like, okay, if you do it 1K and you pay it off at one time, there's no reason for it to go on your credit report. But if you do it monthly and it turns out to be 1.5, you're paying them 150 a month for the next 10 months. Well, you owe them on your credit report, it's 1.5 and you owe them 150. And that's how they see it. And so there's a lot of things that the credit applies to, and things that affect your credit score that most people don't recognize. And the reason why it's also important is that it's not even just about getting a house. You know, this thing can stop you from getting a house. It can stop you from getting a phone. It can stop you from getting a job. It can stop you from getting a credit card. It can stop you from getting a bank account, even if it's a debit account. And it can stop you from getting all these things. Now, even for stuff like utilities, like water, gas, electricity, it won't stop you from getting it unless you're very bad. But what it will stop you from doing, what it will affect is that you're going to get a terrible price. Like your price for yours, if it's £29 offer on Virgin, you're going to get £45, and you'll be asking yourself why. And then they'll be like, why do you default and get a CCJ? That's what they'll be asking you. And so these things are are very important. Go on.
Mm-hmm.
And so the credit score is actually very important and somewhat even simple to kind of keep in check. And so, and when you apply for like bank accounts and stuff like that, they're not the only people who can check your credit score or credit report. You know, people who want to rent homes, if you want to be a renter, 9 times out of 10, they'll check your credit score, you know, and you can be rejected for it. You know, some jobs will check your credit report and see if you're handling, because it's for them, it's an indication of you're handling your money well, you may not be handling cool. So then, and the thing is, it's not always a true indication that you're handling money well or not, but to some extent it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least it says you're off the grid, and the off the grid might as well be non-existent.
Yeah.
And so, you know, job, all these kind of things. And so whenever you go on like compare the market or any of these comparison sites and you put in your details, that's
Mm-hmm.
what they do. They go and check your credit score, and then they'll do a soft search of your credit score. And then from there, they will now come back and give you a price or see what you can offer based on what your credit score is saying. And so that's how they operate. So whether you know it or don't know it, you do have a credit score. So like that's the reason why, even though for banks, when they were giving out student accounts, they understood that you didn't really have a credit score or credit report because you haven't really been on the system that long. So they're taking a chance on you. That's the reason why if you see during undergrad, a lot of people's things, you know, it wasn't guaranteed that your overdraft was going to go up. It would be like 500 to your first term, and then it can go up to 1K, and then it can go up to this and blah, 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 because at each point in time, they're going to check your credit score. And so, and for some people weren't eligible to get a credit report, a student account because of past dealings. So for example, my brother was he had like a gym membership. He tried to cancel, but canceling some of those things can be hard. Tried to cancel, it didn't cancel on their side. They'll keep trying to take the money and they'll faulting it to his credit report, and then he now had a bad credit report, and then he couldn't get a student account for the first 2 years or whatnot.
Oh wow.
And so the thing about credit report is like insurance. You don't think about it until you need it. You know, first time I broke down on the M40, before I didn't use it to get breakdown cover. First time I brought down, called my dad, be like, yo, my G, I'm broken down. And then ever since that time, I've bought breakdown cover. Even when I didn't have a car, I had breakdown cover, and I never looked back. And I was like, these are things you don't know that you need until you need it.
Yeah.
And same with the credit score. Obviously, there's times where it's okay for your credit score to be bad, in the sense of like if you buy a home or you open new accounts or stuff like that, you know your credit score is going to go down for a bit. And so simple stuff that people can do to build up their credit score. Obviously, one is to have a credit card, use it, and then regularly pay it off so that you don't pay any interest. And then I'll get to credit cards later on, because after I talk about credit score, I'm going to come back to budgeting. So, I'll talk about credit cards later on, because I know it's a taboo subject, but more times it's not because credit cards are bad. Again, it comes down to us. We just didn't know how to use it.
Yeah.
So, simple stuff with your credit report is, pay all your bills on time. Every single thing that's in your name, pay it on time. And the way we budget to have that in the place. The way I budget, nobody should ever call my phone to tell me, Ugo Chuku, where is my money? That's not been a thing that's happened since I've probably left uni. In uni times, I was getting by, man, but I was broke, man. I know what I had to do, man. The O2, they're calling me like, yo, listen, I'll be like, yeah, it's coming back, don't worry. But, with on-time payments, pay your money on time, are always, register to vote. You don't have to vote. I don't care if you're anti-establishment or not. If you don't register to vote, then it will bring down your credit score.
Really?
Stuff like, yep. So when it comes to like your credit score, you have to understand there's a bit of emotion behind it, even on the bank side. You registering to vote identifies some stability. It identifies that you're actually a member of this country and you're here, and that wherever credit report, wherever you are, that you're registered or you're here, and then you actually live here, that the government has verified you're a person. Mm-hmm. Where you can as well, these are random stuff. I'll even let you know where you can, even though it's kind of getting people aren't really using it this much. If you have a landline like a 0208, 0207, 0118, 0116, 0121 kind of thing, like a home number, a landline, even that will help boost your score, because on your credit report, the way they feel about it is that, if you have a landline, you're attached to a physical building, that's the only way you can get it. So you're actually here, you exist. Using the same address on all your applications. Even when I went to uni, I addressed everything back home. I never changed. Don't be changing address anyhow, because if you're in the same address for the next 10 years, that shows stability, because you're in the same address that you've been in for the last 10 years. Now that I've moved, it's brought down my credit score, score a bit, because I've moved. It's also brought down my credit score a bit because I've registered to vote in Reading. So now that's taken me off of London, and I need to update that. So that's brought me down. So stuff like that, the on-time payments is a big one, especially within Black community. This idea of vibes and that they won't come back to me is one of them ones that it's not the right thing. When it comes to like any of these loans, credit or whatever, whether it's your phone bill, credit bill, bank bill, overdraft, any of these things, creditors are not allowed, technically, legally, to put you in financial strain. And so they are meant to seem, at least meant to look like they're trying to help you out. And so if you can't make an on-time payment, the easiest and best thing you can do is just to call them. So a lot of us go with the avoidance. I'm just gonna forget it, and then Baba G will just help me out and they'll forget about me. Sometimes they'll forget about calling you, but in the background, there's a lot of processes going that you're gonna get a letter from the court. They've sold on your debt, and then the number of times they have to sell on your debt, about 3-4 times before we all have heard that knock on the door and bailiffs are coming. If you call them at the beginning and just say, listen, I'm short this month, or I lost my job, what can we do? Can we put a payment plan? Can we freeze it? They won't report it to your credit report if you tell them early. Because if you're looking for buying a house, and you have one missed payment in the last 8 months. In fact, if you have one missed payment in the last 2 years, you might, depending on if you go direct to the bank, if you don't go through a mortgage broker, they'll probably just reject you unless you can explain what happened there or something like that. Hence why a mortgage broker is good, because they can help explain your situation. Okay. And so on-time payments is in general, regardless of if you, it's like the most fundamental thing. If you can't, if it's a credit card or whatever, pay the minimum. If you can't pay your gas bill, call them. They will find a way to get small money from you. Can you pay this? Can you pay that? We'll add this onto the next bill, whatever. Because what people don't get is that these credit card companies, these banks or whatever, they have departments of risk. They already understand that some of you men are going to be risky. Some of us are going to be risky. And so if, let me say I owe them 10K and I tell them, listen, bro, I'm broke and I'm about to chat. I'll just tell them like this. I'm going to go on bankruptcy. Now I've got a couple of savings. I've got 2K right now. And like, but if I go on bankruptcy, the rest is going to go to this. What can we do here? Can we do a payment plan? Can I have some of it written off or whatever? And then they'll just probably take the 2K and be like, forget this. They'll blacklist me and then just take the 2K because they'll get some money as opposed to getting no money.
Yeah.
You know? So even like, or if you tell them, okay, it's minimum payment is £50 a month, but I can't do that. Can we do a payment plan over 5 years and you get your money? They'll negotiate with you and agree with what they'll do so that they can get their money. They may stop. They won't allow you to spend on the card anymore, but then they'll or spend, or if it's gas or whatever, but they'll do whatever they need to do to get their money back because so even when it feels like we are trapped, when financially, there's always a way out. There's 9 times always a way out, unless you've actually gone for loan sharks. Never go for any of these payday loan guys. None of these men are good. Even the man that tell you, what's it called? I can get your credit cards debt written off and blah blah blah. They just do similarly what I just said. They'll make you bankrupt. They will actually officially file you as a bankrupt individual, which sounds good because you've gotten 5K written off of your credit card and you don't have to pay that back. But there's ramifications on your credit report in general and your credit life that you are bankrupt. Like you now go, if you did bankruptcy and you're trying to buy a house, no one's giving the bankrupt person a mortgage.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's
Sorry to cut you off. So you said that the payment plan is very, very basic and something that you need to be making sure you're paying on time. So I'm guessing obviously that includes like gym membership, Spotify, for example. And Spotify is a good one, for example. So because I know that one, I know before when I was in uni, that one was inconsistent. But since I started this job, because it's been 2 months now, it's new, I have been consistent in that.
Yeah. So gym membership is the easiest one that most people get a problem with because some of these things, look, take it like this. Anything that's a direct debit, if you default in it, will probably affect your credit report, even if it doesn't come on your credit report. So if some of these subscription-based stuff won't come up on your credit reports just because they're subscriptions. So you can cancel anytime. So it's like, because the other ones are contracts as opposed to subscriptions. So they're two different things. So like some people have gym contracts, some people have gym subscriptions. And so if you're in a gym contract, you know that you can't just leave in 5, you have to wait 6 months or whatever, or you have to pay them off. If you're in a subscription, cancel anytime, it's probably not going to your credit report. And 9 times out of 10, they will make you do a direct debit. Now, if it's a direct debit and you default on your direct debit and they'll probably try and attempt to take your money about 3 times. The first time it misses, your bank rejects it. Obviously, if your bank allows it, then you're gone into overdraft if you don't have enough money there. And most times your bank is rejecting it only because you don't have money. So if they reject it, then they'll probably try 2 more times. And then once they've missed that, if you've not somehow tried to call them or whatever, because you probably get a text from your bank to say, oh, they try to take money from you at this time. If they allowed it, they may say, put money in by 4 p.m. or whatever. And then before you know it, if that happens twice because you forgot about it and it doesn't show you forgot the text, or your bank doesn't do text. I know Santander does text for me. Then 2 months later, it's on your credit report and it's a default. And then you'll be so confused what's happening. So one thing when we incorporate into budgeting is that you want to have visibility of all these things. People forget about all these things like Netflix and all these kind of things. It's just because your bank accounts are so cluttered that you can't even see what's going on. Okay, so we'll go on into budgeting now. When it comes to sorry, do you have any questions?
No, so far so good.
Yeah. So when it comes to budgeting, now there's a couple of different ways to budget. There's something called the 50-30-20 rule, which is 50% of your money goes to needs, 30% goes to wants, and 20% goes to savings. And there's obviously different variations of that ratio of how you allocate your money. Now, for me, whenever anybody's beginning in budgeting, I always just say that the simplest thing for them to do is just to what's it called? This is, sorry, one second. Let me open. Where is the one I was working on? Really? Okay, that's the wrong one. Yeah, let me pull up magic calculator. Where is it? Ugo lebi tarifa. Developer mode. There it is. So yeah, what I normally tell people is to just take all your needs, or take all, not take all your needs, take all your what's it called? Take all your committed spend, basically. Take all the money, take everything that you are definitely, like all your direct debits, all your standing orders, everything that you pay on a regular month, how much you pay on transport, how much you typically do on food, all of that is your committed spend. Then you write all of that down. Then you take, well, what's her name? Let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, cool. So I'm still working on the sheets and making it more better, but this is kind of like similar to how my other sheets have worked, which is on one of our sites.
Very tidy.
Thank you. I try. So here there is, what you have here is committed spend. So typically how I tell people to budget is this: you get your money, the first 10% of your money should go to your savings.
The first
10% of your money should go to savings. I don't care if you have £10 in your account, if your minimum wage, I don't care how much you're earning. A lot of my life I've done minimum wage. While I was in uni, I was a minimum wage. I was doing £5.13 an hour. Yeah. And then I remember getting when they increased the minimum wage, and I turned to £5.30. Like, that was first year and second year for me, and I was a minimum wage, and I bought my first car on minimum wage. So it's not like, but then that all comes down from savings. So obviously I was working a lot, but 10% of your money should always go to savings. Now, the reason why the first 10% always go to savings is that there's a concept called pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first. Okay.
Yeah. So the first 10% of your money should always go to you. And by going to you, I mean it should go to your savings, or should go to your investments, or should be going to your savings with the purpose of it to being invested to help your life or to grow in the future. And the reason why it's pay yourself first is because, similar like next week's going to be Black Friday, similar like people have done in the past, most times when we get paid, the first person we pay is ASOS, BT, O2, Virgin, your girl's new clothes, the holiday you wanted to go to. And the thing is, even though you might say, okay, I'm buying these clothes for my benefit, even though you only wear it twice, or I'm buying these tickets for my benefit, you're still putting money in somebody else's pocket first of all. And so you've not actually done any, like, at the end of the month, if you buy all these things and stuff like that, you're left with nothing. And you've actually done nothing to make your life tomorrow better than it was today, beyond the experience that you had in the short term. And so paying yourself first is the first money. It's almost like tithing for yourself. If you're somebody that tithes in church, then cool. Then the first 10%, I'm not even joking, the first 10% should still go to your savings account. Then the second 10% should go to the side for you to go to church. And then you now know you have 80% to work on, And so a lot of people are very good at doing things for other people. A lot of people are very good at tithing for church, but are very crap in saving for themselves.
Yeah.
And so you need to put yourself as much as a priority as you put other things. Hence why I can see people's priority. A lot of people don't realize that they haven't made themselves a priority. Their future is not a priority. And like, even though we live for today, when tomorrow comes to now, you'd be regretting that you didn't live yesterday for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so 10% always go to your savings. Then, as a beginner, the next one is all your committed spend. Just write down everything that you're gonna do, which is like so then you got the savings, then you come to a committed spend, and then you now write down everything you're gonna do: rent, transport, food. In fact, you can even put savings, extra savings or whatever. Nando's money, taking my girl out money, taking, football every week with the boys, pub money because we go to the pub every Friday or something like that. All the regular stuff you do. Then after that, you now know how much money you have left. So let's say if you let's just use rough numbers, you had 1K as a take home. Your committed spend when everything is done. So first thing coming, £100, 10% minimum, not a maximum, minimum. And then let me say with everything I've got to do is 500. Then I know I've got 400 to spend to wherever I want to.
Yeah.
And depending on what I've added in my committed spend, I might have added my enjoyment money in my committed spend. So I actually know this is how much I have left. So typically I would say from whatever money you have left there, take an extra 10% of that and use that for miscellaneous. So let's say that 400, you put £40 aside for random, unplanned something coming out and just messing up the gas. Okay. And then and then you actually know what you have to spend. You now know what you have to spend and how you can enjoy or whatever, and whether you can do all the things you want to do. Because sometimes people just say they want to do things, but their money doesn't stack up to it.
Yeah.
And so then what I would typically then do, which, I don't like to add too many steps when it comes to beginners, but then what I would now the last thing I'll tell people to do in the beginner sense is that they take this money they have left to spend. If let's say they didn't add it to the committed spend, this is all the money they have left to spend this month is £400. I would typically say, okay, divide it by the number of weeks that money has to stretch.
Okay.
So let's say it's 4 weeks to your next payday, then you shouldn't be spending more than £100 a month. Sorry, £100 a week.
A week.
So realistically, this week, if somebody asks you how much you have left, and they ask you how much you have left, I mean, this week I have £50 left. It shouldn't be I have £350 left, because then you think you have £350. Hence why people still spend at the beginning of the month, because it's not too far from payday. They still spend at the beginning of the month, like the ending of the month is not too far away. So you look at it, okay, £100. I have £100 to spend each week. And then that's just it. And most people will find that if they can do that, and then obviously the next thing about it is just like self-control. And so that's kind of like the beginner level of budgeting, in my opinion. You get everything that you need to do. You saved your 10%, then you know how much you have left to spend on your wants, and then divide your wants money by the number of weeks. Then there's the normal one that we were talking about the 50, 30, 20, where it's like, here I call it, there's needs. So your money would typically go into 5 categories, in my opinion, which is why I've done it here. It'll typically go into needs, wants, savings, debts, or investing.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. It will typically go into one of those 5 buckets. And so, when you get your money, obviously, typically people will say 50, 30, 20, which is why those are just their standard. Now, if you come to this section where I say take home, you see that I've just suggested some ratios here. So you have the 50, 30, 20 one, needs, wants, savings. Then you have like 40, 30, 20, 10, where you go to debts. You have 40, 30, 10, 10, 10, where it's needs, wants, savings, debts, investing. And obviously, these are just ratios of how you put your money. And so it's up to you to decide what is a need and what is a want. That's most people's crux. And so obviously the ideal would be majority of your money should be going to like somewhat savings, investing, hopefully no debts, minimal but manageable needs, and then somewhat to wants, because the most important thing about budgeting for success is to have it balanced. Now, if it's not balanced, then you flop. So some people, they will try and reduce their needs, and they'll start cutting out stuff that helps their well-being. But some people, they add stuff that is unnecessary for their well-being. Like, it's like, no, you don't need that ZZs and about pianos every couple of weeks. You don't need like that guacamole from that specific place because that makes you feel good because it tastes nice. Like you've attached an emotional reaction to these things,
Yeah.
but they're typically, if you're trying to beat some of these habits, it's just replace it with something at first. And so that's typically the second one. So you decide what your needs are, your wants. Your needs will typically be the important committed spend stuff. So it's typically shelter, transport, food. Have I paid all my bills? Have I paid my rent? Do I have enough money to get to work or school and back? And do I have enough money for food? Those, food is separate for wants. Some people mess up and put their food money in wants, and then that's how you're deciding whether I should go on a party or eat food. So needs, then the second one is wants. And wants is just enjoyment, which you should have some wants. Your wants should never be zero. If your wants are zero, you're probably not living a life you really want to be living. And as someone myself who's very busy, as much as I'm very busy, I've never turned down meeting friends, football, spoken word, relaxation, massages, sauna, all these things. You just somehow have to make it work, and these things bring balance. Savings, the ratio of your savings is important. And investing is very important. Most people are not investing, and what most people don't really understand is that if you're looking to become wealthy, or if let's say the bare minimum, you're looking to become rich, or even on the bare minimum of that, you want to become comfortable. You can't get to those things unless you invest. There's nobody who's rich invested in something. And by investing, you've made your money work for you. Now you can invest in businesses, you can invest in stocks, you can invest in a lot of assets, you can also invest in yourself. But most people, about investing is you have to invest in something. Whether it's into a business, you have to invest. Almost every one of these people who are rich out here, none of them are like rich because of a job. And even if they're in a job, most times the reason why they went and got into like that big position is because they've now gone and spent 2K, 5K on an extra course, blah, 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 to now improve themselves, improve their knowledge, to now go and increase it. And then there's a return on investment. Like even on a mad thing, to go left, some of these Insta baddies and stuff like that, who they'll go and put, 4K, and then they'll go and do all the implants and everything and all that kind of stuff. They do it because they've invested in themselves, and then the Instagram pays for itself. And then before you know it, they're doing 100K a year. That's a return on investment. They still invested low key. The question of whether then whenever you invest in yourself, the question of whether you can make that a long-term investment or a short-term investment. And so investing is a very much a necessary thing that everybody should be doing and needs to be doing, regardless of regardless of how small you start. You always start small and then you get somewhere. And then those are kind of at the beginning, the kind of two beginner, basic, and then the last one, which looks like this, which is a madness. I mean, but this is kind of, I don't typically, I'm only making this template for people to use, as opposed to it being what how I typically budget. But I typically budget aligning what I need to do with my goals. So I have a money for enjoyment. I have a book. Every month I've got like a book allowance, maybe £20 a month. I use to buy books. I have the money I'll go to charity. I have the one that goes to my rainy day. The one that goes to my wants / enjoyments. There's one that goes to the investing and all these kind of things. The ones that go for my bills and all that kind of things. And so in a basic sense, you wanna account for everything that you're going to be doing, from debts to all these kind of things, and then you now know what you have left. And so that way you've applied balance. And so this is kind of like the long term where you kind of want to get to in terms of budgeting, where your money is aligned to your goals, or some are aligned to your long-term goals, some are aligned to your short-term goals, and the others are aligned to your day-to-day. I have in my Monzo, I have a pot for sauna and massage. I have a pot, for a book. I have a pot for all these things, and the money automatically just goes there, waiting for me to go and use it to go and buy those things, because that's one of my priorities on a monthly basis. And so in this is in terms of budgeting, on the budgeting side, then there's a way to make this budgeting thing more effortless and more efficient. Okay, there's a way to do this to make this more efficient and more effortless, and that's just by you using your accounts more effectively. So, you can't do it with just one account, in my opinion. You probably need like 2-3 accounts. But in the way I do it is, I have one account that has the exact amount of money for all my standing orders, all my direct debits. It routes all my money. So it literally, on payday, in fact, I only just need to look to make sure everything's going okay. So I have all of these things lined up, and then I go into my account, and then I made standing orders for my savings to come out on payday, for my money to go to my investments on that day, the money to go to my enjoyment account, on that day, and then everything else, all my direct debits come out from one account. And then, so instead of seeing 100 things on my statement, because I have my account that I use for once. So my Monzo is my tap, tap, eat, tap, tap. So I don't really look at that statement, because I know anything I use that on, I don't need to be counting my yum yums and stuff like that. I know I've sent £200 there for me to use for the month, and I can just tap, tap, tap away. But when we're tapping away, we miss direct debit from Barclays. We miss the money coming out from gym. We miss all these things. So I always make sure that my direct debits only come out from one account. And so all my bills are coming out from one account. So that's my bills account. Then I have my, enjoyment account. That's the card that I take out when I go out. I take out 2 cards. I'll take out a card, which is my enjoyment card, and a credit card. And the credit card is more for safety. The once card is more my cash, that I know this is how much I have to spend per month.
Yeah.
And so those are the two, I have more accounts, but those are 2 basic. If you have one for spending and one for bills, then you should have one separate savings account from your actual main account. Now, you can have a savings account inside your account and transfer money in there, but you should always have, in my opinion, the pay yourself first money especially should be going to an account that is outside of your main account. The reason why is out of sight, out of mind. Okay. So when you log into your main account, let's say you have a Santander or Barclays account, even though you sent, let's say, £500 to your savings account, and you log in and you see you have £500 to your current account, but somebody's telling you about this nice opportunity to go to Portimao for £600. Well, you look at your current account. When you log in, you look at your current account and be like, nah, I only have £500, but you're looking at the same screen and be like, I also have £500 down there. I can really take out 100 from there. And because it's there facing you, you're consciously remembering that you have like 1K there. So you already do the add. You subconsciously or consciously, you already added it all together. You already put it all together and be like, okay, cool, I have 1K, man. And then that's how you do it. So out of sight, out of mind. So there should always be on a basic. Obviously, there's ways I can make this go more. But on a basic, you should have a savings account away from your main account. You have a main account for your bills, your money coming in and your money going out. And then that should route all your money to wherever you need it to go. And then you have your account for enjoyment. And so I think I did a video on this 2 years ago about how to use your money, how to use your accounts like a boss. And I kind of did it like a little diagram. But yeah, doing stuff like that makes it more seamless. So I just know that I take out my Monzo, and on payday it's going to drop £200 into my account, and then immediately this is how much I kind of go. Immediately my pots are going to take out 150, and every Friday the next week is going to bring out £50 to the account. So I know technically I have £200, but in reality, when I look into my account, the pots are aside, all I see is £50 there. And I know this is all I got to spend. So I'm even playing with myself. And so then every Friday or every Sunday, whichever one I set it to, then another £50 will come out. And it's like, okay, cool. And then before you know it, artificially, you start reducing the amount of money you're actually spending, but you don't really know that that's what you're doing. And so these are kind of ways. So getting your accounts in order, getting your budgets in order are kind of like the foundations. And then that's where you can now plan for wherever you want to go into, if that makes sense.
Okay. And you talked a lot, and you also mentioned about investment. Okay, now I'm 24. I just turned 24 now. Okay, and
congratulations,
I
welcome.
think, but I got my graduate job straight after my master's, so thank God. So I'm in a good place right now.
Yeah.
Now, you did mention making money work for you.
Yeah.
Yes, a couple of times actually. Now, because what you've done, the way you've literally got everything spaced out for you and organized, that's eventually where I want to get to.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I can't just do it all in one go because of
Mm-hmm.
okay. The investment part, how
Yeah.
is that work? Because my dad, when he moved to Ireland, when he moved to Ireland, he told me that he was telling me, did you think when I was making was all just for my job? I said, what do you mean? He said he was doing stock. He was doing stock investments. I only found out 3-4 months ago. I didn't know this. He's been doing this. Yeah. Cousin, whatever the case would be. And then he said, so he said was that that's how he made any extra. Then obviously he has his little side business as well, that kind of stuff. And that's pretty much how the money was accumulated. So I knew that just from hearing that, okay, it's no joke. I need to start doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's 100% no joke. So obviously, like me, as you know, I like to be low key. I really like to be low key. And so the only reason, like, in the past couple of years that, even coming on YouTube wasn't okay. I didn't want to be on YouTube. I didn't really want, I like to be in the background, like even coming on you when I come on Instagram and like show how my investments are doing or talk about it or stuff like that. Like I'm not trying to be no guru or anything like that. I hold my hands up. I'm no expert, but I'm trying to, I will say that I'm at some levels, above than a general knowledge. I'm above average as opposed to doing what the average person is doing, but I'm not special. And so it's like what my point of showing people those kind of things is that to let them understand, like, these little things, they do matter. Like, I put £10 in like a stock and then it turned into £29 and it turned into £300. But a lot of times when it comes to investments, most people prefer gambling than over investments. That's the reason why most people get into Forex or crypto. I can count the millions of times that a young G or girl come to me and tell me I'm going to a Forex conference and everybody has that phase where it's Forex is the thing. And it's like all these trainers that are coming to tell you about Forex or even property, most of them that tell you that they're a millionaire, blah, 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 I can help you do these things, and they make it sound so easy. Most things that sound easy are probably harder. The things that sound hard are probably easier, especially the investment terms. And it's all about long-term investments and actually looking at time is your biggest like friend. That's the reason why, again, I get onto people early, and even whether they listen to me or they don't listen to me, the reason why I get onto people is because time is your biggest thing. Like, when I think sometime this year I did a video saying my £10,000 portfolio. Like, it's not too long ago, years ago, that I was just doing £1. Then I graduated to doing £20 a month. Then I graduated and I was like, okay, cool. I'm kind of getting a hang of this. I'm not too scared. And I started doing £100 a month. And then before you know it, most of my savings were going there. I was cutting out my food budget. I was cutting down my transportation budget. I was doing all these kind of things. I was working from home once. I did all these things to kind of reduce these things to increase my savings. And so even though now I've got this property, I think like majority of the money didn't just come from savings. Like some of that came from investments. Some of that came from using savings accounts. Then they gave me interest on top. Some of them gave me current accounts, had interest on top. Some of that was lifetime ISA. Some of that was helped by ISA. It's about making your money work for you. So out of the amount of money I can't even give you a percentage, but at least let me say 5 to 10% of the money that it was used in the deposit in total came from my money making more money.
Wow. Okay.
So even though that there was a lot of discipline and stuff like that, like, my savings was harsh. It was serious something. Like on the day that it was coming, day payday was coming out, I was getting my savings going out. When I divided my money into different budgets, I was also taxing myself on top of the money that I was using to enjoy. So if I had £50 a week, then on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it would subtly take out £5, £7, and £10 away from me, and I won't even know because I'm tapping and £10 will come out. I won't even see, and that's how like I was taxing myself. I was doing all these things in all my accounts just to kind of make sure that I was saving. And so investments, look, the basic formula about making money, the basic formula, and this is as simple as I can bring it down, spend less,
Mm-hmm.
make more,
Okay.
save more, invest more, then worry about taxes.
Don't worry about taxes.
Then worry about taxes.
Oh, okay.
So there's only so much you can cut down your spending.
Yeah.
Before it's too much. Before it's like you're now lowering your quality of life. And at that same junction, there's only so much you can save that you can now before you affect your quality of life. Some people, if they're on the FIRE movement, which is like basically people who trying to retire early, they'd be only eating Indomie every day. And so then there's a maximum you can save. Then once you reach those maximums, you need to earn more. There's nothing you can do in that bracket. You need to earn more money. So now when you earn more, again, you try to spend less and then you try to save more. But then also you need to try and invest more. So from this time, when you're trying to invest more, there's a maximum that you're able to invest before you reduce your quality of life. Then again, you come to a new junction. You need to make more. And then when you get to this point now that you invested more, you're saving more, and then you reduce your needs to a reasonable thing, and you're trying to make more, then the only thing you can do at this point in time is worry about taxes. Try and get more of the money you can get back from the government. So maybe stop being on PAYE, try to be a self-employed, do a contractor, do all these things to try and reduce your tax and stuff like that. And that's kind of basically it. And so if you don't invest, like saving, you can't save your way to riches.
Okay.
Now saving is very important, and I always, if somebody doesn't save, I'm looking at a person like, you're not a serious candidate. Not that, I wouldn't say this to their face, chat. Everyone do your own prerogative, your own choice. But even when I was at uni and I was broke, that £10 I saved, the number of times it came in clutch to save me. So I remember one guy, he said, beautiful quote. He was like, save your money so that one day your money will save you. And it's just that simple. And so, people are living for today, and then, tomorrow they'll start blaming the world about, that, to some extent you can blame the world to some extent, but you always have to hold yourself accountable, because people talk about million. Majority of us will make a million, up to a million in our lifetime. You live 40 years at 25K a year, which most of us come out of uni on 27 at least. 40 years over your lifetime, you've made at least a mil. Obviously would like to be making a million every year, but if you put things in perspective, you can make that work. And so when it comes to investing, it's just about being consistent and time. So your money needs to make money for you, hence all these asset classes. Crypto, I don't believe in crypto, even though next year, I'll be honest, it will see like £50 a month from me, probably nothing more than that. And £50, I don't mind at this stage of my life. I don't mind losing £50. I look at it as just to be there, but I don't believe in it. But when it comes to like stocks and stuff like that, the idea of a stock is, I buy a piece of this company. So that's what you are. You're an owner of Facebook, you're an owner of Amazon, you're an owner of Dell, you're an owner of McDonald's. And then as the company gets more valuable, my share in this company becomes more valuable. And then when I sell my stake in this company, then I take my money plus what is on top of it. And that's just a simple basis of most investments. You either invest for a return on investment in terms of capital gains, cash flow or dividends, or rent. And those are pretty much the main two things. There's one more that you invest for, but I forget off the top of my head. So the similar thing with property, you buy a house either for it to appreciate in capital gains, appreciate in price, which is capital gains. Then you're looking maybe to get rent, which is cash flow, or it would be similar to dividends. And that's just regular money you get coming out on top of the position you have in there, that when you sell it, it comes back in. And so that's the main thing about your investments. It's just about trying to make your money work for you and try to accumulate.
Okay. So now you do stock investments. I know you've kind of shown us a bit of so as someone now who wants to get into that, because I'm not gonna lie, though, next year I'm really not trying to do masa like that. I'm really trying to put things in order from now anyways.
Yeah.
How does that start? Because I'm saving up all this money.
Yeah.
Like I said, weekly, so it's a good thing. But at the same time, I'm like, I've noticed, like, okay, like now, this time around now, Christmas is coming. I'm gonna dip into that savings account.
Mhm. And see, this is the thing about when I say budgeting and goals. You're supposed to start budgeting for Christmas from like your budget for Christmas should already be in there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if I know that I'm gonna spend £400 this Christmas, then from January to October, I should have been saving £40 a month.
But in my case, I only started 2 months ago, so it's like,
I know, but I'm saying for like the future, then
yeah,
it's like then by the time you get to October, you have £400. Then you know you've come into November, Black Friday is coming, and then you're ready. You see what I mean?
yeah,
And so
yeah.
like, in terms of like now that Christmas is there, then it's up to you to decide what your priorities are. Like for me, I remember like one of the Christmases, I really just said to everybody, like, there's no Christmas presents from me this year. Like, I'll get you something small or something like that. But, and obviously, I'm the kind of person that likes to do more sentimental things anyway. So it works in my favor, because I like things that bring meaning. But if somebody's looking at me to be spending a couple £100, especially back then, like if I didn't have £100, like some people were killing ourselves because of these things. So for example, in uni times when it came to my credit card, I've definitely done all the bad things you shouldn't do in a credit card. Even I've done, but like I remember like it used to be like my mom's birthday or my sister's birthday, and I pull out my credit card, and I'm in uni, working minimum wage, struggling, but like it's mom's birthday, so I'm now slapping on £200 or £100, and then
Mm,
once you don't look at the bill, then once you don't look at your statement for a couple of days, and then I have to deal with the ramifications. And similarly with like stuff like Christmas and stuff like that, then we do that. Now, obviously, I'm not gonna say don't give people gifts or anything like that. If you can do it and make the numbers work, then do it. But then ultimately, at the same time, if you're somebody that's going to go and do Christmas and do gifts and then put yourself in debt, I would tell you to tell everybody to go and chill. Just like, and but the thing is, with stuff like that, because there's so much anxiety behind it, it's one of those ones you would have to, if that was the case for you or somebody listening to this, it would be to just confront it head on and just say, hey guys, and you'd be surprised. You'd be like, hey guys, um, yeah, money's tight right now, and I really can't do any gifts this Christmas. And then 9 times out of 10, everyone will be like, it's okay. Or if people are petty, then they'll be like, okay, then I'm not getting you one. And that's just pettiness. That's fine.
yeah,
You deal with it, Sha. But you have to do things that work for you, because obviously during the festive period, everybody wants to like make everyone feel good, especially by spending money.
mhm.
Especially if everyone around you, apparently their love language is gifts. Of course it is. And so, but you just have to do what you can do. And so now that Christmas is coming, if you dip into your savings again, you know, you just need to know that you need to recover in some ways, depending on if these goals are something you want, or even when it comes to these goals, you might have to readjust your goals. So if it's buying a car, you might have to readjust the type of car you want. If it's a house, you might have to readjust what type of house, when you want to buy the house, what area the house is going to be in, all that kind of stuff. Are you planning to wait till you get a girl or married to do it? Are you waiting to do it by yourself?
No,
You,
no, yeah, no, 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 no. I'm not gonna. No, that's no, no. Mm-mm.
I hear you, bro. Listen, I follow you. They run. Don't worry. But like, these are decisions that
Yeah,
and there's a lot of things. Like, don't get twisted. The thing about these finances and why most people don't address it is because on the surface it seems not much, but when you go into it, even as simple as it is, you have to think about a little bit. Like if you
yeah,
come to each of the goals, and it's good to just give all of the goals the time they need to breathe. Sha. It's not good to like talk all of them in the same vein. So when I was doing my own for housing and stuff like that, I remember I planned it for time, but I remember specifically, I think it was November or December 2018. I sat down in one of the underground offices with my fellow graduate engineer at the time. And I remember sat there, just made the plan. I was working it all out, how much I need to say, how many years this did, and I put this in perspective, how much I can make from interest in terms of this account, what is the period of this, and did the numbers, where do I need to do extra, can I take extra shifts, all these kind of things. And just for the house, I did all of that, and there was a lot of numbers and stuff that went into that,
yeah.
and it all works out. But like little stuff like £200 a month, Jesus Christ, £200 a month. That's that's £2,400 at the end of the month, like end of the year. Sorry, it's like these things. So in terms of starting investing, it depends. There's easy ways to start investing. Like again, it's to everyone's prerogative, but easy things to do for most people is just to go on and invest in an index fund.
Index what?
An index fund.
Index funds.
Yeah. So obviously, I do a lot of stock investing, and sorry, I do a lot of stock investing, and for most people, index fund is probably the simplest and best way to invest. Now, obviously, again, people do what they do with their money. I'm not a qualified financial advisor, so people be sliding to my DMs on Instagram asking me what's the best stock to invest in. And I just look at it, and I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes, a lot of times, I do end up airing it, or I'll tell them to just go watch a video.
Yeah.
Because most people aren't really built to do the work to actually pick a stock. Like if you're picking a stock, you have to understand it's like I'm buying a company. Like if most people, like if I came to you, and I said, oh, yo, Chuck, I'm about to start a business. Um, can you bring 5K? Then you'd be like, maybe let's say maybe you trust me, so maybe you'd be like, yeah, but maybe even if I was your friend, 9 times out of 10, you'd probably be like, what business is this? Where's my money gonna go to? How am I sure I get my money back? What
Yeah.
is what is the prospects of this business? Where's your business plan? Let me see. What sector you go into? Do you have is there a market for this? How do you plan the promo? Are you gonna do this all by yourself? It doesn't make sense to do it all by yourself. And then these are the kind of question that you ask if your friend came to you for money. And that's the kind of research low key that investors do or people do before they pick a stock.
Mm-hmm.
What is the management team saying? Did the CEO have a good track record? Where are they expanding to? Do they have room for growth? Are they too big to fail? Do they have a stronghold in the market? Is their stock overvalued? Like, if they've never done a profit, why are they valued at 5 billion? It's a bit overpriced right now. All that kind of stuff. It's like Virgin Media, for example, they've covered most of the UK. So like if I'm going to invest in Virgin, unless I know that they're planning to expand, they're just in the UK, then there's no growth there. I'm looking, that's the kind of things you'd be looking at. And so that for most people, they don't necessarily want to go into that much detail into picking a stock. So index fund for most people is the easiest way. Now, an index fund is basically a group of stocks that you can buy as one stock.
A group of stocks you can buy at one stock, okay?
Yeah. So that's basically what an index is. Now, so there's different types of indexes. There's, there's in the most popular ones are S&P 500, which is the S&P 500 is basically the largest 500 companies in the US, the largest publicly traded companies in the US. I mean, technically it's like 537, but it's 500. Yeah. The top 500. In the UK, there's a FTSE 100, which is the top 100. FTSE, FTSE, and 100. And then there's the FTSE 250, which is from 200 to 350. Sorry, 200 to, from 100 to 350. And these are the biggest companies in those things. And so most people buy those stocks. It's almost like betting on it's almost like investing in the US economy. So if these 500 companies did well, then typically the economy did well. So you're basically just buying on the economy because your money will be spread out. That £50 will be spread out. So instead of you having to choose Tesla or Amazon or Facebook, if you buy this one index fund, you technically own a bit of everything, and what you get in terms of your return on your money is an average of all the growth. So let's say Amazon last year grew very big, Facebook grew very big, but some of the S&P 500 went down, and so but these guys pulled the average so high that the S&P 500 went up by like 10% last year, and so your money just sitting there would have gone up by 10%.
Okay.
You understand? And there's other type of indexes that group or ETFs group stocks together, like electric vehicles are grouped together, precious metals are group together, all these different things that you can buy as one piece, and then you own a bit of Tesla, a bit of Lucid, a little bit of Neo, bit about all these EV companies, and there's different things. And so if you buy those 9 out of 10, you should be fine. And so if I show you, for example,
this index fund, is it like an app as well, or is it?
No, so it's on the stock market.
It's on the stock market. Okay, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not an app. So there's basically it's index fund and ETFs are basically the same thing. Index funds are typically or let's say buying the index funds and ETFs are exchange traded funds. So they're basically like they are index funds, but you can trade them back and forth. Like you can buy and sell them like a stock.
Mm-hmm.
And an index fund, you can't really buy and sell it like a stock. You can buy it and sell it like I think once or twice a day, depending on the platform.
Okay.
And so I'm typically invested in ETFs. And so you can see it. So I wanted to show you this. So this is do you know what compound interest is?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is, I remember they said, I don't know if it's true, I wasn't born when he said it, but they said Albert Einstein said that the compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. And so the thing about the thing about me letting people know that the earlier you do these things, the better for you. And so it's, you can't do catch up. Like I was talking to somebody a couple of years ago and I was telling her about like, saving for retirement. She said she'll worry about retirement when she's close to retirement age. My friend, at that point, it's too late. Now, compound interest, the thing about time is that when you leave your money to accumulate and accumulate in value and let time and compound interest do its job, it's just so amazing. So let me say this now. Let's say you're 24 now. Let's say you retire at 60. Okay. So let's say you're working for 46 years. If you save £200 a month, and let's say you invested in S&P 500, which is it's typically about 8% a year. It's like between 8 to 10% a year, but let's go conservative. Let's say 8%. So let's say you're going to do this for 46 years. And let's say it compounds 8% a year as opposed to monthly.
Yeah.
Then that's your initial balance is £200, and then you're putting £200 per month. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, this is all you're doing though for the rest of your life. From now to your 60, £200.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Actually, no, this is 36 years. Apologies. My maths was wrong. 36. Yeah. Let's say, even though most of us are going to retire at 70 the way things are going, but let's do 36.
Yeah.
Calculate. Let's see how much you have at the end of the 36 years. You have $500,000.
Only?
Only, yeah. But that's only at 200 for 36 years. And so every year in terms, but like you say only, but in reality, all you put was £86,400. Oh. And you've earned £416,273 on interest alone.
Just from that £200?
From that £200 every month.
Wow.
Now let's say, okay, cool. So let's say you now change this. Let's say the S&P 500 was doing better, and it's historically it's between 8 and 12. But let's say you now go from let's say it goes from 8% to 10%, and this is how numbers just change immediately, and just 2% extra.
Whoa!
You've got almost 848,000.
Wow!
With the same money, but
it's just the fact that the percentage rate went up.
Yeah. Now let's say, now this is the reason why your time is more valuable. Yeah. So let me say now, we started at 20 to 40. Okay. Let me say for 20 years, for the 20 years now, I was doing £200 per month and 10% per year. Okay, cool. At the end, I would have 1,153K just only doing 48K. I've got 153K for doing £200 a month for 20 years. Now, let me say now, people who are trying to do catch up. Now, let me just write down this number now. I've got 153,339.38. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is me doing 200 a month for 20 years. Now, if somebody now comes, I've been telling him for years, man, get on this, get on this. He's like, okay, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing £200 a month. He comes in, does £400. He comes in when we're 30, he does £400 a month, and he's doing that for the 10 years. And he's like, by the time I get to 40, I would have invested the same amount as you. So no yawa. All right. Let's double this away. £400. Cool, no yawa. Let's see wagwan. So at 10% a year, £400 per month, he's done the same amount, and he has almost half the amount of money. So he's got 83,000 and 81 and £20. So I, for just the 10 years earlier and half the money he's putting in, I've earned almost double what his investment would do.
Oh, snap.
And so this is time. So the amount you have plus the time is important, but the time is your most important thing. Now, assuming I did the £400 for 20 years instead of the £200, instead of having 153K, I would have had double. And so the time is your biggest value here. Hence why the earlier you start, the better it is. Like if somebody invested in Amazon only 1K in like the 90s, they would be almost like a multi-millionaire right now.
Yeah.
Easy. I think they probably would have actually been a bit, I don't know if it's a billionaire, but close to. They'll be in the hundreds of millions for 1K. And so this is the beauty about compound interest. So if I was to be investing over the next 40 years, and I said £500 a month, non-stop, 40 years, 10% return, and let's say I'm planning to retire at 65, and I'm doing £500 a month, and then that's me making sure that I'll have 3 mil.
Wow.
I have 3 mil for retirement.
The way you enjoy life. Wow. I'm speechless.
Because the way most people look at their future now, in terms of retirement, I have no plans of retiring personally, because where my goals are set up, I have no really plans of actually just like retiring to some beach or whatever. That's not kind of like where I'm built. But the idea that, most people look at retirement the way we look at holidays. I know I want to go Nice this year. Let's say I know I want to go to Afro Nation next year. Instead of me to be budgeting, like I was saying, for Christmas, I know Christmas is coming. Instead of me to be budgeting from January to October, getting ready for Christmas, I get to October, November, and those 2 paychecks carry Christmas, and then I still need to use January, February to recover because I spent so much on Christmas.
Yeah.
And so most people do that with retirement, where it's like the last 10 years they get close to retirement, then they get anxious because they've not used their time wisely, and it costs you more. Now if you were at 50 now, you feel you're gonna retire in 10 years, to get that 3 mil that I did for, you would probably have to invest almost 4 or 5 times. So 10%, let's say you're doing £2,000 a month. Let's say you're in a good job, you 4K a month, you put in all of that in, you need to do 2K, and you still didn't get it in 10 years.
Do
you see that? 2K for 10 years, 2K a month, that's a monstrous amount of money. Not even half a mil. Not even half a mil. In fact, but if I imagine that they realize this at 40 and they're in a good paying job, they at least got 1.5 mil.
But you still made more anyways. That's the thing.
I still made more paying
because
less.
You started earlier.
That's it. Starting earlier and being consistent. Now, and to be like, if you were to win the lottery now, most people who win the lottery end up broke afterwards anyway. But if I took 1 mil, no, let me say if I took 100K of it, put it in let's say S&P 500, left it as my retirement fund for 40 years, and I put no deposits, and I just let the money sit, and that was just 100K. At retirement,
5 mil.
5 mil.
But that's from the lottery you won anyway.
Yeah, so that's the lottery. But But my point being that it's, when it comes to investing and make your money work for you, now in the beginning, it doesn't even feel real. It doesn't feel real because it's like, wow, why are they paying me for this? But banks make money on interest. Bank makes, and the thing about compound interest is that this could either work in your favor or work against you. Similarly, this is where a lot of our parents got burned with credit cards because they didn't understand how this worked. And so if you carry over a balance for 1 month at 8%, no, it's not going to be at 8%, it'll probably be at 25% to 40%.
Yeah.
You carry that over 1 month, the next month it combines, and next month it combines. And now, so if I look at this table now, let me not even look at the table, let me show you the graph. Now, this same money that I've not changed the money, but you imagine 10% here. Let's say I had £100. This year it's now become 110. 10% on that is now become 121 because now it's £11 that's been added. Now it's 121, then it becomes 133. Like it just keeps adding. And so that's the same thing that happens in terms of your debts if you don't actually pay them back. That's compound interest working negatively against you because you're not in control basically.
Yeah.
And so this is why investments are very important, and this is why I try to get everybody on investment, even though most people are, it's like a nice to see, but most people aren't bothered to.
Me and brother too. I bet Biko.
Yeah. And so like, everybody sets their sight to property, but most people aren't trying to really understand it. And so like the first rule about investing is that don't invest in anything you don't understand. If you don't understand it, like there's no reason for you to be investing in it. And so you have two choices. It's either you don't invest or you go and understand.
Okay.
And so like with stocks, index fund is probably the easiest one to get into because you don't really have to understand much, as opposed to these are the biggest companies in the country. They typically carry the economy. The stock market and the economy aren't the same thing, but typically if the stock market is good, the economy could be bad. But if the economy is good, the stock market is probably good. So if that makes sense. So you typically don't have the stock market bad and the economy good.
Okay.
So
So it is the economy that carries the stock. So essentially,
they're not the same thing, but but basically, it's like if the economy is good, then the stock market is probably good. But the economy could be bad, and the stock market would be good.
Good, yeah.
So like last year during COVID, the economy was bad, but stock market was good. And so, but again, when it comes to investments, and now we're gonna be going into techie place where most economic crises is Black Friday for investors.
Okay.
So like housing crisis, all these investors, they came and bought all the houses. Stock crisis and the Tesla's dropping, Amazon is dropping, and all these guys come in to buy it because they know that these things will go up. And so, it's investing in something you understand is important. So
okay. So sorry, my note here. So give me a second. All right, so you mentioned index fund, FTSE 100, TS 350. So with the index, so you said the index fund is basically just a group of stocks that you can buy as one stock. So in terms of the website, then like, how do you where do I go to start it? Like,
I use Trading 212.
Trading 212.
Trading 212 is what I use.
Is that legit?
Yeah, well, it's been legit for me, Sha.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's been legit. Like it's the main one I use. I've also downloaded other ones like Free Trade and DeGiro and stuff like that, but I don't really use them. So I really just use Trading 212. I think last year they were, because of everyone was on lockdown, people started learning about investing. I think last year they had what's it called, a waiting list to join because so many people were trying to download it.
Oh, well, okay.
And I'll send you an invite, so you should to get a free stock if you join.
Oh, thank you.
And so there's go on.
Oh no, that waiting list you're talking about, I do remember that happened. But what I've also noticed now is that because COVID is supposedly become getting over, whatever it should be, you've got people kind of like, well, a lot of people that would have been on it from the start with the whole. Well, and it's starting to now become less and less and less again. And only a certain percentage of people who actually took it seriously. Like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna stay.
Yeah. The thing is, it's interesting when you look at a lot of the major economies. Well, there's a few exceptions, like Japan is an exception, Singapore
Oh,
is an exception, and stuff like that. But economies like the UK and not Nigeria, the UK, even Nigeria is probably in that bracket. But America, I think, is less than 10% of the population that is invested in the stock market. If not, like, I think I heard a stat, it was like 3 point something percent. But basically, Sha, is a very small percentage of the what's it called, the population who's invested in the stock market, and in turn is a very small percentage of the population who's reaping any benefits from the productivity of the economy.
hey.
And so it's one of those ones where if you don't invest in anything, you're probably not going to get anything in return. And so, like for me, in majority of the things I use regularly, I'm an investor as well. So Royal Mail, I invested in you because, Sha, I use you every day, Sha, and your stocks have been going up high. What's it called? Halfords. I come to you for my car stuff. I'm a bit, that fam, the stuff that I be using, where it's like I clock that I use these things a lot, and I'm like, what company owns this? Can I buy it on their stock market? And that's literally what I'll do. If I know I'm putting money into this company, B&Q, I haven't checked, but I'm coming for you, because I spent a lot of money in you in these last couple of things. And obviously, if they're not on the stock market, then they're a private company. So you can only get publicly traded companies on the stock market. So like something like Costco, you won't get it on. Well, actually, no, wrong. Sorry, Costco is on the stock market. What's a good example? I forget off the top of my head, but there's big companies that you know of, but you won't see a stock for them because they're not on the stock market because they're private
So
companies.
like Facebook and Amazon, they're not on the stock markets.
No, they're on the stock market because they're publicly traded companies.
Okay. And okay. And the amount of money you put in, is there limits to how much you can put in? Because I don't know how it works. Do you buy the stock like, is there like a price set for each stock?
Yeah. So
Okay.
each stock you can buy, there's a price on each stock that you can buy. Yeah, so each stock has like their what's it called, like their trading price or their stock price.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're allowed to buy as many shares as you basically want, Sha. Or as many as are available. It's not limitless. You can't go and buy a million. There's only a limited amount of stocks.
Oh yeah.
Even though it feels like there's no, that is endless, there is still a limit to how much you can buy. And so you couldn't buy like 10 billion pound worth of stock because there's not enough available. You'd probably be artificially inflating the market. So there's regulations and stuff against that.
Okay.
So if I show you so you can see UBS, their stock price 16,
Yeah.
AT&T $24.
Wait, hold on. Sorry, Mr. 18. Wait, is that
The
not?
AT&T.
Yeah.
So you see there's US stocks. So the
Yeah.
Planetar, Berkshire Hathaway, Nike, McDonald's, Coke.
So that's how much. This is how much the stocks are.
Yeah. So this is how much one stock is.
One stock.
Yeah. But at the
Then
same time, don't. So when you look at these things, for example, now somebody will see, what's it called? Let's say, look at this and say 55 and say McDonald's is 250. Ooh, that's more expensive than Coke. But it might not actually be more expensive. It might be that McDonald's has 100 stocks available for you to buy and they price each one at 250. So if there's 100, then it's at 250, you have 25K. But then instead of what's it called, Coke, instead of them doing
they may
that,
have loads more.
they'll
And
have
it's
maybe
priced
have
at a lower price. Yeah.
yeah, they might have more stocks and then price at a lower price. So just looking at the number can sometimes be deceiving because some people just go be like, oh, I want a cheap stock. Okay, do. Now, when you're buying a stock, obviously there's different reasons to pick a stock. And so when you look at them, we did say like we did something like trading 212, you can do something called fractional shares. So if I wanted to buy this, I can buy a fraction. So number of shares, and I can say 0.1. And it tells me that there's not enough money there, but I could buy it basically. Yeah.
Okay.
And so if I come to, where are you? So if I come to its information here, it can tell me the minimum traded quantity. So I can buy 0.001 of this stock. So what's it called? I could buy 0.01. That's the minimum I can trade. Yeah. So that means if I 0.001 times $143 means I can buy a stock for 14 cents.
Hey.
So I wouldn't buy one stock, but I could buy 0.001. So at least my 14 cents, even though it's not going to be getting me a huge return, it's getting me a return.
It's getting you a return, yeah.
So 9 times out of 10, when people are telling me that they don't actually have enough to invest, I started with £1. So it's if I come back to this is me, yeah. This is what I've got there now. I'm rebuilding my thing now. You can see my.
Is this your portfolio?
This is my portfolio. Now, if you come back,
you're doing very well though.
It's doing okay, Sha. But look, you see that dotted. So that's where it grows. But if I show you the other one where it went down, now look, down here at the beginning, only £36. Now I can't really take it back to all the way back then, but you can see that it was just going up. £36, it wasn't going much. This by 2 months later, 70, and then it went down to like I wasn't doing much. Much, and then you can see that it just slowly, and then I got some confidence, and then I'm slowly growing, and then before you know it, it just you keep going. But then obviously with investing, as much as you can make money, you can lose money. So
yeah.
If I show this one, you can see here that dotted line was how much I put in. Look at that red. Look at that red. All of that. Negative 20%. And then it came back up to like what, 15%. Then I sold.
Yeah.
And then, so with investment, there's no guarantee. But again, with this one, to be fair, I wish I could go back in time. No, I can't go back in time. But essentially, starting gradual, there's no problem with it. This one, I did, by the time I came to that account, I passed gradual. But obviously, I've been investing for about almost 3 years or whatnot.
3 years, yeah.
But it's a gradual process, and then slowly but surely. So if I can get to it, let's see. Where is it?
So the money you've made in this portfolio right now, that's your money now.
So you don't make money or lose money until you sell.
Okay, then make a lose until you sell. Okay.
Yeah. So if the money share can be green and telling me I have 100% return, if I don't sell it, I technically, my portfolio has grown in theory, but I don't technically have any money until I sell.
And who do you sell to?
I sell it into the stock market, into the open market for somebody else to buy.
And when they buy it, that's where you make your profits.
So it's basically let's say that. So there's a random routine like way of how all these stocks get shared and it's bought back by it's very complicated. All you need to know is that you buy and you sell, and when you sell it, somebody will buy it, unless they've held to trading for that stock.
Okay.
So it's like if I had Tesla stock now and I sold it, randomly it will be routed for you to buy. or the stocks will become available. There's always like free stocks available, so that it's never always you buy, they sell. Sometimes it's now sent back into the exchange, and it's just there waiting for somebody to buy it, basically.
Right, yeah.
But so there's always typically a stock available, but there is a limit to what you can buy. So that's the reason why, like, people talk about a lot of these guys who are billionaires and be like, oh, they've got so much money. Most of them are like, they're stock rich, they're not cash rich. Some of them have the same bank balance as some of us. They don't really, like, Elon Musk. That's the reason why some of them sell their stocks, like 5% of their stock stake every year, to realize some cash. What most of them do is that they take a loan against their stock position and then spend the loan as if it's their money. So Mark Zuckerberg is he got a mortgage for his house, even though he could buy a country. And so but it's because there's rules against it. So let's say he's 40% ownership in Amazon. He couldn't just tomorrow say, I'm going to sell 20%, because that would crash the stock market. It would be like, you can't just pull all your money out. It's not how it works.
Yeah.
And at the same junction, you can't just come in and just buy half, unless you're doing a takeover and all that kind of stuff. There's ways to go about it, to go and buy that. But it's not just that simple for us as quote unquote retail investors to go and do that.
Okay. Wow. My brain is full now.
Yeah. So, like, just in basics, like, obviously budget, align it to goals. Start off with like getting all your committed spend, and then the biggest thing about it, budgeting and stuff like that, is like, if you don't know where your money is going, then that's one of your biggest battles.
Yeah.
So, obviously I showed you the budgeting, but all these sheets that I make, I use it myself, and as I improve it for other people, and then obviously now I'll be selling it, but before I just need to send it out. And so the other thing you gotta be doing is, this is spending track. This is actually developer mode. Let me see if I can show you my own. Is this okay, can you see my screen still?
I can still see a screen, yeah.
Do you see numbers?
No, I just seen zeros.
Okay. Okay. So as much as I budget, which I'd budget here.
Okay, now I can see it, yeah.
Then in the spending track area, I also track my spending. And so I know where all my money's gone. I know the breakdown of percentage of where everything's gone.
Yeah.
To debt and whatever, 8% of debt, 14% of needs, 701s, 40 of investing. So almost of my money was going to investing. And so at the end of the year, I can tell you, obviously I stopped using this sheet around here, but I could tell you this is how my spending behavior was here. I can tell you how my savings was going. Ooh. And I broke it down. And so I can tell you where all my money went to, break it down in terms of general, saving habit, how was I saving? My spending habit, okay, where was it going most of it? Okay, this month was going most to savings. Here was going more to debts. Okay, cool. And then over here, I now have a breakdown. Okay, excluding savings, how much did I spend on like stuff that I wasn't saving or investing? I spent about that. It increased in March. Okay, cool. What's the breakdown of each of those months? And I can say, okay, here, majority went to investing. But in March, no, a lot went to investing. It reduced. My debts increased. And so you can now see how your money is going. So when it comes to you kind of winning this game, it's about just being in control.
Mm-hmm.
And so budget, track your spending, invest. That's pretty much, if you budget, you have a goal and stuff like that, track your spending and then invest. Now, obviously, if you're somebody that, if it was somebody who'd never been saving before, I'll tell them that the first thing you want to do, even if you actually know, even regardless if you're saving or not, what I'd say to you is that for the next 60 days, or at least let's say between now and end of January, check your accounts every day.
Okay.
Check every account you have every day. And so even if you get extra accounts, which in my opinion you should, to manage your money better, so you have all your money for your spend go there, and all your chill money go there, and then a savings account money that just goes to your savings account share in another app that is just a hassle that you have to open up to go and see.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is in the next 60 days. And I say after 60 days, you should stop, because people get a bit, there's a bit of anxiety around that. Like, you get a bit stressed for it mentally. But similarly, like, with the whole push up and whatnot, be establishing the habit of working out, you're establishing the habit of not just checking your accounts, but knowing how much you have in your account. So a lot of times we spend a lot of money because we don't know how much we have. We don't know how much where our money is going to. So for somebody who's spending a lot of money anyhow, willy-nilly, if they spend if for the first week, they'll just probably shrug it off. By the time they get to the second week, before they make that spend, that boohoo, they're like, right, I checked my account. Like, when you go from first week and still 700 and you see it's a week and a half and you have 350, you'd be like, okay, no, I need to fix up. And if you do that, at some point you're gonna fight. People fight it naturally; they'll fight it. But by day 40, you've gone through two paydays, and you've seen that I'm not. I need to fix up, and that's a self. It wouldn't be me telling them to fix up. They'll be telling themselves to fix up. So check all your accounts every day.
Okay.
Use standing orders, or where you can, to route your money. So if once you've budgeted and you said, okay, this is how much I spend on phone contract, it comes out, all of the kind of things. If they're coming out from go on.
Thank God I don't have phone contracts. I don't have that one.
Yeah, but like, all these things, make sure they're coming out from the same account. And then, so that you manage it, check your accounts, budget, and start investing, and obviously start saving towards your goals. Now, in terms of saving, the thing I was forgetting in the beginning is that, look, over the next couple of years, what you want to start establishing is a couple of different things. You want an emergency fund. Yeah. An emergency fund is a 1 to 3 to maybe 6 months saved money put aside in case of emergency, which should be able to cover all your basic needs and expenses and wants, excluding savings and investments. So if you imagine you lost your job, it shouldn't take you more than 3 to 6 months to buy a job. So, but it might take you up to 2 years to save for 6 months. Understand that it's not something you're gonna do next month. Like, even saving 1 month is you can do that maybe within 6 months or within 3 months. But give yourself a pat on the back for doing that. But you can only save an emergency fund if you know how much you need. So if let me say all my bills and everything, in terms of mortgage, everything, plus all of my enjoyment and everything, or like, sports and all the other things that give me a balanced life. Let me say it's 1.5 a month or 1.6 a month. So that's, if I save 1.5, I have 1 month same emergency fund saved. If I do up to 6K, I have about 4 months. And then that means if I lost my job now for the next 4 months, I'm not that stressed. All my bills are taken care of. It's not like I need a loan or whatever. I can still eat and share. I'm not desperate. I just can't save and I just can't invest. Because when you're in emergency time, you're probably not looking at those things. If you can keep going, obviously, if you want to include that in your savings, shall I do that one? But it's up to you. Then the next one you want to create, which is more an immediate one, is there's a rainy day fund, which is just basically spare money in case something happens. So like, if you broke down, if somebody broke down, if somebody, your tire got burst or whatnot, or you're stranded, or, you go to check in your bag and they tell you, oh shit, you need to pay extra £50 to check in this bag. That's a rainy day fund. And typically, in terms of that as a new goal, you aim with the rainy day fund, you should just start like this. I want to save my first £100. Then you now say, okay, let me save my £1,000, and then from then you can just start adding as you want. Most things that pop up in terms of like not emergency, but imminent problems, 1K should solve it. If it's more than 1K, you messed up. Yeah, so most things would just be more than 1K, unless it's like, I don't know. The only other one that maybe is, let me say you're stuck in another country and then the only option is BA and they're going to charge you 5K to come back today or something like that. Then maybe take, something like that. That's the only thing that should do you more. Then the other one is called a sinking fund. Now, when you're doing your budgeting, A sinking fund is basically what you were talking about before. And this comes down to, instead of just saying I want to buy a house, car, and holiday, and I need to save £500 for that. A sinking fund is basically, I need £300 for the house. That's my house sinking fund. I
Okay.
need £200 a month for the car. That's the car sinking fund. I need £100 a month for trips. That's the holiday trip sinking fund.
Yeah.
And so it's better to divide it up like that. So if you do come to a time where it's hard times, you need to cut out something from your budget because, okay, this is going to go up. If you now look at your goals, you're like, okay, maybe the holiday, I can allow the holiday. So you stop contributing to the holiday sinking fund, but you keep contributing to the house sinking fund. It doesn't have to be a totality, but because if you lump it together, you treat them all together. And so where this one's for house. I knew my Help to Buy account and my lifetime asset was house money. So everything that was going there was house money. Nothing was coming to touch house money. If I needed to stop maybe personal savings money, then I'll stop that. But that goal is important. We don't stop that.
Yeah.
And so you want to have sinking funds, rainy day funds, and emergency fund. But start small with all of them. Aim to save your first 100. If you've done your first 100, aim to save your first 1,000 in terms of your rainy day fund. And then just start from there and kind of go from there. And then just kind of after you do all those kind of things, just do like an audit of yourself. After you check your accounts for the next couple of months, the simple thing of just knowing how much you spend each month in terms of like committed spend and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then know how much you have left, put some savings. And then from there, if you really want to go in depth and you really want to like rack your brain up, then you can take your last 3 statements of your accounts and see how you've been spending your money.
Oof.
And if you look at the last, especially, to be fair, it sounds like you're doing well, but most people who get paid weekly are like, to be honest, it depends. Some of them are worse or better than they're somewhat worse, to be fair, because they don't really save as much as people who do monthly sometimes, but they don't have a problem in terms of being broke because they most of them finish their money for this week, knowing next week the money will come again.
That's not the way to go about it, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's easy to go bad on that one. But like, yeah, check your last 3 months of your account and see where's my money been going to. Like, you see things creep up on you and you feel like, right, I spent money here. Shit, what you start seeing charges. Every time Ozzy sees like a random charge, she'll be like, what happened? She's doing investigation because it's the FBI. But like, you'll be doing that on yourself, and then that's where you start doing like a little self-assessment of like, okay, I was kind of sad that day, or I was not managing my time well, or I can go back to maybe when I got my first, like the day I got my first COVID vaccine. I remember I was busy that day. I went from work to this work to that. I was a busy day, and then I remember I must have ordered like that delivery. I must have ordered 5 guys, creams, and peri peri wings. Like, there was 3 deliveries coming. I ate and just slumped. But like, I could know when something abnormal comes in, and you can kind of see, okay, maybe I was stressed then. That's the reason why I did an extra massage session, or blah blah blah, or my back was hurting. Or you can kind of the first time you actually analyze, and then you can kind of give yourself some perspective of how you behave, and then that's when you now be like, okay, cool. I might need to make some changes. So let me say, some people, their issue is fear of missing out. So they're gonna spend money on every night out because they don't know how to say no to their friend. So sometimes the best way to not spend money there is to avoid. Try to say no, or even preemptively just tell them, listen, like, just you're only allowed to call me for 3 motives this month. Don't call me for any more. One of my friends, he's like, look, you're not gonna see me in March. We'll just tell each other up front, you're not gonna see me in March, you're not gonna see me in October or whatever, and you won't see them. Not for a motive, not a serious motive that money has to be spent, because the perspective that, look, this is gonna mess up my accounts. And so you start to make changes. If there's somebody that you don't know how to say no to, then you need to figure out how to say no, or figure out how to avoid them politely. If the person's always coming, because with all of these things, there's habits that have been formed.
Yeah.
So breaking habits is the hardest thing to do. And so, it's just about coming into control. So again, like I sum up the whole financial literacy thing as personal literacy. and there's like the ABC, which is assets, budget, credit, attitude, behavior, and control. Now, obviously, to kind of sum up on that, so assets is typically what you want. So, most people worry on liabilities as opposed to assets. Assets generally is anything that brings you value, money, appreciation, anything like that. Puts money in your pocket as opposed to taking money in your pocket. A liability is anything that takes money or time away from you.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why people can be a liability. A relationship can be a liability. For majority of people, your house is a liability. Even though you think it's an asset, you pay mortgage every month, you pay council tax every month, you pay all these things every month. It's taking money out of your account every month. And I know some people think it's an asset because, oh, there's capital gains, my house is appreciating. But 9 times out of 10, the house you live in is always a liability because you're always spending money on it.
Yeah.
So even if your house that you're living in turns from 200K to 500K, to realize the value of that asset, you have to sell it. And when you sell it, you carry some of that money, Sha, and still go and buy another house to go and live in because you're not going to be homeless. Unless you decided that you're going to be homeless, then it's a pure asset. But it's going to be a liability. So the house you're going to live in will not have to be a liability. Now, there's ways to turn the house you're living in from a liability to an asset. Cool. Budget is basically your strategy. How do you manage your money? What's your strategy? How are you trying to get there? All these kind of things. If you have a business with no business plan, you don't have a business. You have just a wish. If you're trying to do this money game or build wealth and you don't have a plan to build wealth, if you're trying to make money but you don't understand money, if you're trying to be a singer but you don't understand the music industry, it doesn't work. And you need a plan on how to get there. So your budget is your plan, it's your priorities, and it gives your money a job. And remember one person said, your money is like little soldiers. Send them out there to go and win wars for you and bring back recruits or bring back prisoners, however you want to see it, and earn interest for you in the positive. Now, credit is a very important thing that everyone neglects and people run away from it. So, similar to not having a credit card, everyone's like, I don't have a credit card. I'm very happy I don't have a credit card. But then that's nice, but when you come to buy a house, then you wish you had a credit card, and you can't just buy it for 1 month and then that's it. And the reason why a credit card is really good in terms of building credit is because it's one of the few things that has revolving debt, which means you can have a credit card for like 100 years and it will continue to prove that you're good with money, provided that you use it, pay it off in full. If you get a credit card, don't spend more than £50 and pay it off at the end of the month, but just use the card, use it for, let's say, your Tesco shop once a month, and then pay it off full. And that way you don't pay any interest, and then you have on-time payments and you are shown to regularly pay your money back, and that's it. Your credit score will go good. Do that. Register to vote, use the same address everywhere, and it's pretty simple. And just spend £50. That's it.
Okay.
But when I say credit in that context, I'm not just talking about credit card, credit score. I'm talking about what are the tools out there that you can use. I'm talking about, when I was saving, I'm talking about lifetime ISA that was there. Because most times people tell me, okay, I don't make enough money. I wasn't making that. Most people that are around me were probably making more money than I was the time I was saving. But like, how did I make the money stretch? So I said, okay, there's high interest savings accounts. Okay, that's another credit tool. Interest on savings account. There was high interest current accounts. So if you pay this amount of money to your current account, they'll pay you this amount of money. There was cashback over rewards I did. I used lifetime ISA because, for every 4K I put in there, they'll give me 1K for free, provided I want to use it for a house.
Wait. Okay. Is it? Oh, I actually have the account,
Yeah. Wait, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. Sorry about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was I saying?
What you call, you were talking about Aisha.
Yeah, so when I talk about credit, I'm talking about the tools that are available for you out there.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like there's when I look at the banking system and the financial system, it's all built on credit. It's all built on banks make money by us not paying, by what's it called, by creating money, by loaning out, by giving credit cards, by making interest, all these kind of things, by using when you deposit money into your current account or your debit account, they use that money and go and invest in somewhere, and then they take the profits and give you back your money when you check out your money. And so it's all about the tools that are available. So as much as banks, they're doing tools, there's stuff available for you. And so let's see, and so that's what I mean when I talk about that. So 9 times out of 10, when people say okay, I can't afford this, or there's no way for me to get this, they're coming from it at the wrong perspective. They're saying, okay, instead of being I can't, it's more of how can I?
Mm.
What can I do to get this, if that makes sense? So when I was trying to save on the tight budget I was on the brokenness I was broken, I had to figure out the ways to do it. So again, high interest, I did everything. The only things I forgot to do was like NS and NS and I, or whatever that is. There's a couple of different accounts I didn't join, but I picked my battles. I did some investing, but some safe, some risky, and then but there's some I didn't invest in that I could have got more return, but you have to weigh up the risk.
Mm.
Because when you're investing, that I didn't mention, is all a game of risk. And in this life, the biggest risk in life share is not taking a
Yeah.
risk. But because we're young, and it's earlier, we can recover if we flop share. And so that's that ABC side. Now, the second ABC side is attitude. Now, what is your view on money? Most people think money is the root of all evil, and oh my days. But everybody that's shouting that money is the root of all evil, wants money. And apparently, God bless them if they give them money. But apparently, it's the root of all evil. So God needs to be blessing somebody who's evil. People need to make it make sense. But then some people on the flip side say it's the lack of money, because the money has not been distributed, blah, blah, blah. That's the
Yeah.
root of all evil. And then that's why people start stealing and whatnot. And the truth of the matter is, money don't care about your feelings.
Mhm.
Money is just a tool. So it's neither the root of all evil, nor the lack or whatever. 9 times out of 10, money just reveals, it just amplifies whatever you are. It just, if you're a good person before, you're generous before, you'd probably become generous after. Some people who are generous now because they have money aren't generous. They're just tactically generous because it gives them tax breaks as companies in the West, or it makes them look good in terms of it. Every time somebody insults one kind of community, and they'll go and donate to a foundation. They're not
Yeah.
charitable. It's just hush hush money for people to feel good. And some people, they will be like, okay, I'm not. Some people, their position, basically, when people have more money, they have more opportunity to show themselves. Some people look at people who are in certain positions and think that if they were in that position, they'll make different choices. But now, some people would make worse choices. And
Mm.
some people aren't not generous. So some people are stingy or whatever, but they don't have the opportunity to be stingy, if that makes sense. So if you're in a house where it's 5 of you and you have to share everything, you don't have a choice whether you have to share or not. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Mhm.
you don't have the choice of whether you want to be stingy or not. You don't have the choice, the opportunity to be generous, because you don't have the money to be generous. And so
Yeah.
some people don't understand that in that moment, whether they'll do the same choices or different. So money doesn't really change people. It just honestly just gives people the opportunity to show who
Yeah.
they really were. Now,
Yes.
obviously, there's the flip side of it that, sometimes when people does get money, it's not that they changed, the people around them may have changed, because that's when everybody would be like, my brother, my brother, my brother, and then everyone turns into shady
Yeah.
individuals and start chatting nonsense about your name. So there's a flip side to these things. So money is just a tool. So your attitude around your goals, money, and all those kind of things will actually determine where you're going to get to. Because if you have a negative um, outlook on money, you're probably not going to get anywhere with it. If you have
Yeah.
if you don't believe in yourself, you don't, you're not looking to grow, you're not looking to try and, most people, when it comes to purpose, most people who find their purpose understand that purpose comes with some level of servitude, like
Mhm.
you're helping people. And so I can give you the easiest formula to become a billionaire. And this is just a simple thing. As much as the easiest formula to become a billionaire is to solve a problem. Is really what it is. Like if you could solve climate change, you become a billionaire. If you can solve the problem of like of cars polluting the world, then you become a billionaire. If you could solve the problem of us having to, wanting to get things quicker and getting more things, then you become a Bezos. It's all these kind of things. You just solve a problem for somebody, and then that's how you make money, Sha. Facebook, everyone was trying to connect. MySpace was there, Sha, but Facebook really came here and mashed up the game. And
Yeah.
so your attitude towards money, your goals, where's your head at in terms of how you manage money, and just the way you see money. Do you have a negative relationship with money? Do you have, does money cause you a lot of anxiety? Are you still in the vein that, I didn't see my parents do this, so I've got an issue with it? Is it, even in the context of a relationship, if my man or my girl is handling more money or has more money than me, does that give me a problem or not? Like, what is your mindset around money? That's when I talk about attitude. Like, how's your view with money? Because the reason why a lot of people avoid it is because there's a lot of anxiety that builds up in it. It's such a techie thing that people to talk about or understand. It's not, most people grew up with parents just complaining about money every time. So even when they were given money, they were given money with like a shrug, or almost like a burden. So it's which translates into how people look at money. And I know people who are making a lot of money, but they're just not managing it well because their attitude to money. Some people, I'm here for today, not for tomorrow satisfaction. Your attitude around money is going to be very important. The second part, the B, is behavior, and that's what we'll talk. We've already talked about that, about how do you act around money, what's your behavior around money, kind of what's your association with money. Are you an emotional eater? Do you look at money as money to be spent for today? Are you so giving that you don't give to yourself? Like what's your association with it? What's your behaviors around it? How do you handle it? If you have too much in your account, does that give you too much anxiety? For some people, if they have too much savings, they don't know what to do, then they might save it, or they might spend it or give it out, or they don't like seeing too much money in their account. How do you associate with money, and how does your day-to-day come? If you're tired, how do you come up with money? How does, again, all your personal goals are financial goals for majority of them. Like majority of your personal goals, if not all, our financial goals. Like, I want to go on holiday, you need to save the money. I want to quit my job, go get money to save. Even if you say, I can just stay at home, then someone is going to pay for it. Your parents are going to pay for you being at home. So somebody's paying for it. There's always going to be somebody that's going to flip in the bill. Like they say, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Somebody's paying for it. Even if the government says they're paying for it, technically we're paying for it in taxes, or at least some of us who pay taxes, if that makes sense. Somebody will always be paying for it. And so from, if you want to have kids, you got to think about how you're going to take care of these kids. If you want to go and propose to a girl, how are you going to buy that ring? You want to do a wedding, listen, that wedding cost. COVID was a blessing for some people's pockets when it came to weddings. Jesus Christ. Like, Jesus, people are rushing to get wedding done just because of COVID. Listen, if I was marriage is not on my mind now, but I'm looking, well, knock wood, but it's like, hey, if there's not COVID, but let's just say, let there be a lockdown. Let's just say, let's stay at home, and everybody just coming on Zoom, no aunties coming here. It's like, you need to do this. Your behavior around money. Like some people, when they see money, it just needs to be spent. Some people is like, your money is our money, and mine is, there's, your whole behavior around money, how you associate it with it. And again, in terms of how you need to change that behavior to achieve the goals you want. When you look at your assets and stuff like that, that's your goals. That asset, that A there is talking about what's your goals. Then the B is how you, so A is assets, is what's your goals? What are you trying to get? House, car, whatever. B, budget. What's your strategy? What's your plan to get there? C, credit. What are the tools available and resources for you to get there? A on this side, attitude. What's your mindset about it? Like, how are you going to do it? B, behavior. What's your interaction with money? Like, how do you go on a day-to-day? How are you going to bring that consistency into your life? And then C, control. And that's the toughest one. Like, the control part about it. Now, look, again, with most people hear me when I say this, like, with whatever goals you're trying to do, financial, personal, spiritual, otherwise, for most people don't hold themselves accountable enough to do it by themselves. And so most times it's good. This is one of the reasons why people within relationships are more successful, or in marriages are more successful than the average person, not because they're in a relationship, or not because marriage now makes them more successful, but they now have somebody who's keeping them accountable to their goals. And so that's why I suggest people to always have an accountability partner. And when I say an accountability partner, I mean someone that you can trust if in terms of finances, to disclose your finances to, but it's somebody that's not going to be soft on you. It's not going to be, if you come to me to hold you accountable of your goals, you better not come over here thinking that you tell me you had a bad day and think that's a good excuse for you flopping. Like, that's not a good excuse. If you get somebody that is going to be, every time you make an excuse, it's going to let you off, it's not going to work. The reason why it's easier in the context of a marriage is because your mess up actually affects my life. So I'm actually forced subconsciously to make sure that you're keeping your goals accountable.
Yeah.
If you're out here trying to say you're carrying the family, I'm gonna let you know, bro. Like, look, you do that extra rep. Like, you see these boxers at the ringside. The girls there shouting as if she was in the gym, fam. She was there like, Rocky, one more. Listen, because it affects their life. And so it's when you look at friends who sometimes may not care as much your goals as you do, then they might not necessarily do that much for you. But if you have somebody and you say, look, you're my accountability partner, you keep me accountable. It doesn't have to be a mutual thing. I like to create accountability circles where I get like an odd number of people, and I'll say, I will keep you accountable to your goals. You keep Jake accountable to his goals, and Jake will keep me accountable to my goals. And so whenever Jake calls me, it's a conversation about my goals. I don't ask him about his goals. The focus is on me. Because sometimes if it's a two-way conversation, people are out here doing like, I'm too shy today, you carry the conversation and talk, and then I run away. No, the focus is on me. So when I call you, Chuck, the focus is on you. There's no running away from this one. And then when you call Jake, likewise. And so if you're going to have an accountability partner and it's just two people, then the best thing to do is to have a day where it's just talk about Chuck, and then to have a day where you just talk about Jake. And then that way you make sure that you're keeping each other accountable and making sure that you are controlling it. Now, other things you can do to control is make your account more in sync. Don't keep all your money in one place, because then if you tap, contactless now goes to £100. You'll just tap away. In other ways to control, I tax myself. I also have penalties for flopping. When I started investing, I was still doing the occasional lottery ticket. You wake up in the morning, something tells you these are the Euro numbers, and then you get it. So what I started doing was that for every time I bought a lottery ticket, I would times that value by 5, and I was investing in the stock market.
Okay.
So, and then I think there's an app for penalizing yourself like that. I forget, I'll remember it and I'll send it. But like, if I make a mistake, if I do something that's not aligned to what I want to do, like if I do an extra on like when I was, especially before, not right now because I'm like in a transition phase, but like especially before, when I broke down my week money, and then I was taxing myself. If I overspent in this week, let's say I overspent my £30, I take £10 for the remaining 3 weeks.
Oof.
And then that just goes straight back into the savings. I wasn't joking with myself. Joking with anybody. I wasn't joking with myself. If I flopped, then I would make sure to do it, and then you just have to figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's very hard for a lot of people to keep themselves accountable to that level. And don't get it twisted. Sometimes you make the numbers work, you do an extra shift or whatnot, but you have to understand you're going to have to punish yourself low key, because either way, you're either going to have to work more or you're going to have to adjust the time of your goal.
Yeah.
And so those are your only two options when it comes to some of these things. And so, the whole idea of it, and then in the process of it, you're accumulating. And the whole process of this is for you. You have evolutions, you have things, and then even when it comes to your goals, when you spend time to think about your goals, it might change the timeline of your goals. It's okay. You look at the reality of your situation. So it's always good to kind of go through this process, because some people say, I want to buy a house next year. You haven't saved shit. Like you have no money to buy a house. Like, okay, if you want to buy it in 2 years, maybe. Okay, cool. Where do you want to buy? Okay, let's say you want to buy London. You want to buy in central London. That's very expensive. Do you think you could be able to do that in 2 years? Okay, no. But let's say you definitely want a house in 2 years. Okay, cool. It's either now the location of the house has to change or the time of the house has to change, if that makes sense. So now with this goal now, what's it called? Let's say I might want to do it like northeast London. What's the houses saying there? You can go on Rightmove, just have a little gander, look about it. Okay, cool. I'm a first-time buyer. COVID has kind of messed up the gaff. Will 5% be enough? Okay, cool. If the 5% is enough, what about the affordability? Will my income be enough? Am I planning to hopefully have babe by that time and do with somebody? Cool. That's house. You do the house, you go through the process. You do with car. Okay, car. Do I want to buy it outright? Do I want to buy it through finance? If I do finance, how many years would I want to pay that? How much does that take out my account? If I paid it off at once, how much do I save or not save by doing it that way? What is the opportunity cost in doing all these things? What kind of car do I want? Like me, when I buy a car, I'm looking at the highest miles per gallon, lowest road tax, durability, all this kind of thing. That's what I'm looking at. But for some people, they're just like, I want a Merc. Okay, cool. What is the maintenance cost in the Merc? Does it eat fuel? Some of these cars drink fuel like they're trying to get drunk. So it's one of those ones. Okay, holiday trip. I've kind of maintained over the last couple of years, like almost at least one trip a year. But like, what constitutes a trip? I've been on a flight for £5 and was it sweet Italy? I went to £5. I came back on £12. Like I did a trip and I went to hostels. I think that whole trip was like maybe £100. So okay, what kind of trips do I want to do a year? What, how much do I have for a trip? Because sometimes people will be like, okay, I only have £100, £200, I can't go on the trip. Come on, man. Like, obviously now it's post EU, so like things will change a little bit. But like pre-corona, pre-Brexit, like it's something that can be done. And so it's just about putting things in perspective for you to kind of get to where you want to get to. If it's like trips, if it's dates, mandem, if it's a date, budget. Like how much are you gonna put aside to dates? Because man, them are struggling right now because they got money, then they just pick up girls and date. They just go wherever they want to go to, and then they worry about the money afterwards. Bro, if you only got £100, then let her know that you don't even need to let her know. You just need to understand that when you ask her where do you want to go, you give her the options. Don't be like, where do you want to go? And then when she does something expensive, you're bare shade. No. Narrow it down to do you want to go top golf or do you want to go bowling? She's like, okay, let's do this. Like if she now starts suggesting that it's sexy fish or something like that, or wherever Salt Bay is, then that, bro, like sometimes you gotta let her know that, fam, we're not doing that. Like, you don't even need to explain yourself too tough. But if your budget is £100, your budget is £50, make it work. Like make it work. And that's just how you have to readjust. You don't have to stop these things that you want to do because of money or whatever. Because with a lot of people, when they come to me, they tell me their problem is money. 9 times out of 10, your problem is not money. It's not about resources. Most times, are you resourceful enough? So the money you've got, I'm gonna take you to Dixie Chicken. We'll wear a suit. I'll bring a white tablecloth. I'll get boss man. We'll have a candle there. We'll make this team be the best 10 wings you've eaten in your life, man. And you just gotta come be creative with it. And that's similar with your goals. So if it's like a car, maybe you want a Merc, maybe you want a Beamer or whatever. Maybe that could be the 4th car you get. Your first car, in my personal opinion, your first car should be a car that you probably end up being emotionally attached to, but you should also be okay to abuse the car because it's your first car. So it's like that's the car that should really, your first car if it's fresh off the lot and stuff like that, you're doing some risky business, man. Like, but if that's what you want, but then again, everyone you will pay the price for their goals. So like, if you go for a very cheap, shitty car, then you might end up paying more on maintenance. If you go for a very new car, it might be expensive for changing parts. If you go for one in the middle, maybe you don't feel as cool as you want to. So you have to be honest with yourself. Am I the kind of person that does like to show face? Am I the person that really wants a Beamer? Now you can address the issue of wanting the Beamer as opposed to just getting a normal car, but then you have to deal with the consequences of those goals and say, okay, I need to get extra money. If I do this on finance, there's X, Y, Z. The insurance cost is higher. Which mechanic am I going to go to? So it's about putting these things perspective, because ultimately your life is going to be a sum of your choices. That's pretty much what everyone's life will be.
Yeah.
Some of your choices, and then that's pretty much it. So yeah, I've talked a lot there. So I'm gonna let you digest that.
Yeah, don't worry. I definitely digested it for sure. I don't think I have any questions now. My brain is pretty much filled up now. I think after hearing all of this now, I know exactly what I need to do. I should be doing, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to spacing out my funds as well, and not having obviously all the one account as well.
Yeah.
No, you definitely helped a lot now. No, I'm definitely gonna put this to work.
Yeah, man. Like, just take a deep breath, and then obviously start sorting that account, start knowing where today's things are going.
Yeah.
Like the interesting thing like about money is just it's a gradual process. Like don't beat yourself up. Don't forget, one thing I forgot to say, I tax myself. Yes, I punish myself, but I mean, I'm not the best at it, but I do it. But you should also reward yourself, Sha. Don't go crazy, but like pat yourself on the back for doing well. Like one thing I've learned when it come to finance is that I've been pretty good in terms of handling money, not always the best, but like I find that I can always do better. And I always learn to do better and whatnot. But it's always important to remember where you started from and to know where you are. So like for a lot of people, they've got anxiety because like, I'm not doing enough. My friend, hold on, like like one of my friends, she lost bare weight. She lost bare weight, and she was still complaining like, oh, I got this little belly weight here. And she's not even football. Her belly is just doing jiggy jaga. And the thing is, Isha, if you're close to me, I'll be honest with you in it. Like it's not fair. But I saw her pre-pandemic. I saw her there, and I had to just be like, "Where you from? Hold up! You did this in 9 months because you'd moved out. I haven't seen it. Like, I was like, I'm beefing you that you've been talking about. Like,
yeah,
like, fam, like, jeez, I can see your neck, like, like, don't get to that. I'm close to her. I've said this to her face, but I'm like, remember where you were like 9 months, like what you've done in 9 months. Most people don't really have the energy to do that. Like you really did that. And so it's like, if you recognize where you came from, like fam, this little thing you're talking about, I'm thinking that there's nothing there. Like, but no, you can see it. There's nothing there. Like, what are you talking about? If I just don't drink fast for one day, we'll go. Like, yeah. And so same thing with finance, the same thing with goals. Just like don't get twisted. You're probably gonna you set yourself high enough that if you miss, hit the sky, but that if you do flop, that you recognize that you're free falling. Like you should be high enough that because not that you don't want to set yourself to fail, but you want to recognize that you are failing though.
Yeah, failing, yeah.
So just don't get too anxious about it. Understand that it's a gradual process. Use these next couple of months coming into the year, especially Christmas is going to be a very big test for you when it comes to finances and stuff like that.
I have that one. Quick question for going round up. That one's a bit icky because there's money I have to loan out, which my dad said he'll pay me back. I know he'll pay back. He always does.
Yeah.
Then there's the presents.
Mm-hmm.
Now my own thinking is Black Friday is coming up. I know Black Friday everything is cheap.
Yeah.
I could literally buy the presents now that would be very cheap.
Yeah.
And then worry about it, and then just take out the loan that I need to take out in December. But
wait, are you taking out a loan in your name for him?
No. So basically, no. So it's like I'm taking a loan from my account to give to him.
Okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, look, again, as long as you can afford it and it makes sense and it doesn't, obviously, as you go now through the process on your own, you start assessing your goals, seeing how much you feel you need to save, when you want to do the house. Let me say, if you want to do it at the end of next year or end of in 2 years' time or 3 years' time, when is okay. Like again, for me, I made the plan for this one that I got August 2021. I made the plan in November 2018. So that's just under 3 years. But again, I was very aggressive with it. And so, you make your goals and stuff like that. And then if it works, but don't get twisted. Sometimes you just have to take a concession. Some months you just have to be like, okay, this month it's not gonna work out, and I just need to do it. Like in 2019, I went on a solo trip to 4 different countries in Europe. Went to Leeds, did some hiking, blah blah blah. No, my bank account definitely did take a hit, but when I came back, I had to come back with the same energy and vengeance to save, to recover from what I just did. So if it's Christmas, share the love. So it's like, do what you want to do. If you already know the gifts you want to get, do. If you can get them cheap on Black Friday, go for it. If you can now see an alternative to the gifts that you want, that you were thinking they maybe want to get, then go for it.
The thing is, one of the gifts my parents, that one is sorted. My sister, that's the one that's going to pack up my accounts. Because she did what she wanted. I'm just like her, like.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, that's the reason why, like, sometimes you just don't ask people what they want. Yeah. Because when you ask people what they want, or for future reference, it's easier just to ask people what they want, but give them the budget that they can work with. What
if what you're getting them is actually something that will help them as well? Because she does a little side hustle with creative content, not YouTube, but she does make.
Then even because for me, I'm more interested personally anyway for getting you what you need rather than what you want. And so if what you need is actually above, maybe the budget, if you can squeeze it,
I just don't want to.
I mean, but then again, it's all choices, man. Like if you for me, like if let's say she's a content creator and then she's using a nonsense camera and blah blah blah, you can help upgrade her small shot, or she doesn't have a ring light and then maybe you want to get her a ring light. You understand what I mean? Like if you can help in that way, it's more than appreciated. And that's when you get people with stuff that they need, they typically appreciate it more. I mean, well, not all people. I mean, some people, they're like, if they don't really care, if they don't really care about their own goals themselves, then they'll look at you like, fam, this is not what I asked for. But
it's true. But you're right.
Yeah, so if it's something that they need, calm. If it's like the new Yeezys, then it's like it's not that deep. Like, that's what I mean. Like if they're gonna tell you to go get some collectible thing, and especially if it's somebody that you care about, that you typically always get them what they want, then they'll probably ask you for what they want because you typically get them what they want. And so the first time is always the hardest time. And then the second time is like when the first time is the hardest time. The second time is when everybody finds out, are you sure? And then the third time is when they accept it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's just what it is, man.
Yeah. God.
It's one of them months, man. It's Christmas, New Year, money just be flying everywhere. Oh my God! God give us more money, man.
Once it hits New Year, from January to October, I'm saving them for Christmas. That's my month. That's my Christmas money budget. That's it. There.
It. Same. I mean, maybe. I budget pretty much every month, or sometimes every 2 months before whatever. So maybe in January we'll do like after you've done your goals, after you've budgeted and stuff like that, we'll come back, we'll review, and then we can see whether we can update it. Because similarly from January, then I start saving for like Christmas. I know that next year I'm going Afro Nation, so I'm going to start saving for that.
Wait, is that actually happening though? Is that actually happening?
Who knows? These guys have held my money hostage. Like, to be fair, I could have got my money back, but they've held it. Imagine I bought this thing in 2019. Was it 2019? I bought mine in 2019 to go in 2020. Okay. Then it postponed and said 2021. I've just seen 2021 pass, and now it's 2020.
This is 2023. What are you going to do?
You just have to get about it, man. Oh no! Do you know they just have to bring it to the UK? But it's gonna be rubbish though, because we need the sun. They can take it to they can take it to Malta. Malta's hot.
Malta's hot. My sister is actually in Malta right now.
Really?
Oh my no, she's a nurse now. Nurse enjoyment.
What, nurse in Malta?
No, she's a nurse in the UK. She's a nurse.
Okay, living her best life.
She's enjoying right now. She's enjoying the fruits of her labor.
We love to see it, man. That's needed, Sha. I mean, I'm trying. Listen, bro. I think I'm flying to Niger, so I can't even complain, man.
Wait, you fancy tonight?
I'm going to Niger.
December, yeah?
Yeah.
With your family?
No, just me.
You know what? I can't do that. I don't know Niger like that.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm going to places where I know people share, but like I don't get. I'll be fine.
I know, I know that, but me, I said me, I can't do that. I have to go with somebody because I don't know Niger like that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you've never been back or you blah 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 blah, it's best to go with somebody.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
but the first few times, if you're gonna go with somebody, you probably want like if you got like obviously you go back with like parents and stuff like that. But if you want to start roaming around, then you need to get like your cousins or like if you have any friends there or stuff like that to come with you, just so that you can get a feel. I mean, I feel like Nige, most of it, like navigating it is just like it's just like character and awareness.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like just know that don't be nice to everybody, don't be rude to anybody, mind your business, keep it going, and be ready to shout. And that's pretty much what it is. Like if it's not, if I go to the market, it's not good afternoon, uncle. Can I have this? I remember when I went to Nice last time, I was with my cousin and we went to buy Ghana Must Go. I didn't go there and be like, oh hey uncle, I'd be like, oh uncle, how much will this one be? He told me the price. He told me like it's signed like 152K. I must have bought that like £400. I was like, no, uncle, what? No, this one now. You get ready, bring out the pigeon, you start pricing, you walk away. If somebody they shout you shout, but you know your capacity. Well, they see roads. You don't see roads. Come off for here. And then when you see one where you make small noise, just like back small. If you see this one Abu guy who knows that you'll knock you out, he's carrying wheelbarrow, Oh boy, listen, yeah, you make some noise, you look at him, but you don't advance. You don't advance.
Yeah.
You don't worsy slap, and then you just, you be smart. If you're in the area that's hostile, don't stay out till dark.
Yeah.
And then you be fine,
Okay.
and then have the money in your back pocket ready to pay off people. What I used to do when I was in Nigeria as well is if I went out, I'd have money in my socks, I'd have money in my shoes, I'd have money in my pockets, in all my pockets, money in my hat. So basically, if somebody wants to rob, they can rob small, but they can never get all your money.
That's actually smart.
Yeah. So, and to be fair, that's the same kind of thing I'd apply if I was going to somewhere like Asia, or like South America, areas where I know that the fact that I'm not a local will probably affect me.
So it's better to be over prepared than not prepared.
Oh yeah. I've got old phones that I'll carry with me. That is like if they steal the phone, it's fine. I'm not carrying my proper phone.
That's true.
It'll be there, but like if you rob me, you take the phone that it's like I have an Galaxy S6 that I've not thrown away. Come on, you stay ready, man.
That's true.
Yeah.
Nah, I can't do that. I can't carry. Nah, I can't. I'll just use my trap phone. I'll use that phone.
Yeah, trap phone. That's even better. There's no need.
Trap phone. Or even one of them old. Those like early days Samsung touchscreen phones.
Yeah, man. Listen, you know the ones where someone try to rob you and then they start giving you money because they feel like you're having a bad day. But it is what it is, man. Like these times, you just have to do what you gotta do. Because again, like obviously, if you've not been to Niger, then it's probably on your own. Then like if it's something you do want to do in the future, then like over the next coming years, it's probably times where you want to try and get like family to go back maybe once or twice in the next 5 years to get you used to it, just so that in the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, when our parents now go and see Babaji, we're not now shook to go there by ourselves, because some of us will never take our kids back there because we may want to, but we don't feel comfortable going by ourselves. So it's stuff that we need to start establishing now.
Yes, I agree.
Just because it's not easy, Sha. Because when you go over there, like one of the questions that I've asked my dad, and I'm probably gonna ask again this time, is like, funny enough, is just who should I like in his, like obviously I give everyone a clean slate, but who should I trust and who should I not trust? Like just give me the little wink. Like I'll smile and wave at them, they won't know, but just so I know that I need to be smart and stuff.
My dad, not my dad, my auntie, she gave me the list. My dad confirmed it. This is on the left side, on the right side, On the left side, you can smile. If you ask a question, just don't say yes or no. Just say,
Yeah. That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. Nah, that's definitely something I need. Like, just stuff like that. Because I'm always thinking about the future. Like, if if we're gonna if anyone plans to take their kids in the future, they need to get comfortable with it because our parents won't be here forever, and so start establishing those kind of things, and getting used to it, or else we'll even probably be worse than our parents' generation in the sense of that. Our parents' generation, at least in the Igbo context, but in general, most of them didn't really do much in terms of impacting the culture into us. But at least they took us back a couple of times. So us now, who are not that educated now, we're now not teaching the culture, but also we're not taking them back. And before you know, and then at that point, listen, what they're gonna do now? They're gonna come back and then they'll be saying, SAG compound. They'll be like, who? And the village is a wonderful place whereby, like, at least for Igbo land shares, where there ones where it's a beautiful place whereby, like, even for kids who've never been back, like, to their village, the village knows that you exist. And it's just like if you came to my village and like you went to the market and you've been like, oh, where's Ezechi's house? And they'll tell you, go there. And like me, I've not fully known everyone in my village to tell you where everyone lives. At least I knew when I was back there and I've forgotten everything. But like, just to come and it's like, where are you from? That this is where we're from. As opposed to like, I'm from Tottenham. I grew up here. Nah. Yeah, man. Nah, this one. So
it's true. The name. It's not. I agree. Could even think about it. I remember the house that we used to live in before. It's just like I have the image in my head. I know the house. If I go, I think the last time I went to jail was 2009. So when I got to the house, I was like, I know that house. I know that room. I know that door. I know the mirror. This is where my sister cut her hands rally. This is where I ran on the table and I smashed my head. It was like I remember bits and bobs.
Yeah.
But then the village, that one was a maze. I didn't know anything.
Yeah, man. Nah, it's one of them ones you just gotta explore, man. Like I remember, like obviously you start off being like, when I started off being there, like I had no clue, but then I just started randomly going out. I started learning. I mean, I've forgotten it, to be honest. Like I have a vague memory of the stuff because it's like properly was when in 2012. Obviously, I went back in 2017, but I was in the village for 2 days. But 2012, so it's almost 10 years since I was properly there when I was in Nigeria. And like, I remember going through Appian ways. I remember almost falling down like a side of a mountain that was covered with trees, or a side of a hill, but it was shot deep. And I was riding a bike and I was like, rah, look, I found, you just start finding random things, and like, it's just a calm place, and then just Niger in general. It's all right, Sha. I'm just happy to be there, Sha. I just want the sun to hit me, the humidity to kind of just clean out my lungs.
Yeah.
And that's really much it, man.
No, it's true. It's true. It is well, sure. Okay, listen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. Honestly,
it's no problem, G.
Actually, I'm glad that I actually stuck with me because I was like, no, I have to do this thing. I have to. Otherwise, what will I do? Because I know you're a very busy guy. Just even get you to reply to the next message is even wahala. Hey.
That's blessed, my bro. Anytime, man. Anytime.
No,
I'm a busy guy, but I'm also good at trying to make time. So that's all it is.
I'll definitely hit you up again in January just to give you an update of where I am right now with services. But so, like I said, this job is new. So far, so good. I'm happy with how I have been saving. However, I know that after Christmas, I'm basically starting again.
Yeah, that's fine, man. That's fine. As long as you stay, use it. Even if you're gonna start again, just use this time to plan. Because like obviously I'm in engineering, but we do asset management, and the life cycle of an asset, you actually technically start maintaining the asset, not when you buy the asset, but when you've conceived the idea that you need to buy an asset.
Assets, okay.
You understand? So like you start saving not when you start like actually putting money in the account. You start saving when you start thinking, okay, I need to start saving. Okay, do I have the account for this? How much am I gonna save? All these kind of things, and all those kind of things just help you get to where you're gonna go. Goals otherwise. So I think you'll be fine, Sha, because you already said you've been saving. So it's just now trying to gear that to places more productive for yourself.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Even though I had to dip in, oh God. Even now, my mom called me now saying, hey, can you help me? Hey, help me. I'm thinking if I should pay it now or wait till Friday to get paid and then use it for. No, that's not a good idea, is it?
Well, it depends how you want to play it, man. If you pay it now, but then if you can you pay it now without thinking about Friday?
Yeah, because I'm not doing that. Like the money I have, it's like the money I have right now. Like I'm not gonna worry about Friday because I'm gonna get Friday will come and it will cover it. Yeah. But if Friday now comes and I use the money I got paid on Friday to pay, I'm just like
Then you start the cycle of catching up.
Yeah.
So in the long term, when you start saving and saving and saving, there's this thing that goes on that you get to the point where like you now start using last month. So a lot of people are in this month spending this month's money to recover this month.
Yeah.
You understand? So let me say I have a 2K overdraft. I'm spending the money now, knowing that my money will come on the end of the month to cover it. And
yeah.
the place you want to get to when you start budgeting and start saving and all this kind of things is that you get to the point where I'm using April to pay for May. So, okay, or like the money that comes at the 30th of April, at the end of April, that money is paying for all I'm going to do in May, as opposed to what I'm paying, that April paycheck, paying back everything I've done in April.
Okay.
That's what I mean. So you want to get to the point where, like, let's say this Friday's money is paying for next week, as opposed to this Friday money is paying for the decisions you did on Wednesday and Thursday.
Thursday. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And so then that's the way you build yourself up. And then if you get to a very elite level, which I'm not necessarily even there yet, Sha, that that you can now do this week is paying for 2 weeks later, or like January is paying for March. If you get to a point where January is paying for March, you've done some elite business here. You've done some serious business here, man.
That one, I'm great.
That one you're just doing. And then if you start, and then by the time you're doing more and more, then you start seeing yourself, and you are naturally either building income, you're either saving more, you're either investing more, all those kind of things, and kind of get yourself working. But yeah.
Okay. Ben, I'll call you're the finance godfather.
It's blessed, my G.
Yeah, but thank you so much, man. I really appreciate this, honestly. Thank you.
It's no problem, bro. Anytime.
Okay, what time is it even? Yeah, almost 10 now.
Yeah, man. Let me go eat, get ready for work tomorrow.
Oh, what time is start work? 8.
Yeah, but I need to be up at like 6 a.m. 5:30, 6 a.m.
You work in Heathrow, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's that like, actually?
It's all right, man. It's all right. I mean, busy. That's what. To be honest, to sum up my life most times is just to say the word busy. But like, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Like, I like what I'm doing. And I like the place in Shah. So for now, it's my number one bay until things change. But yeah, it's okay. It's busy. But yeah, it's fine. I'm learning on the job as well.
That's good.
Yeah. What about you? Work good?
Oh yeah, like I work from home, so
I hear you.
Yeah, but they said that when we're back in the office, I'm going to be Canary Wharf. That's what the company is. So
okay,
I'll be finally putting on my suit and tie, looking like rich posh people.
Money man.
Oh God, before. But bro, listen, let me let you go, okay?
All right, bro. In a bit.
Take care. Thank you so much again. Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Take care, bro.
You too. Bye.
Bye.